world gone insane. An upside-down civilization cannot be real. A world of madness and terror.
It's the Dana Gould Hour.
Today's show is brought to you by Casper. Get $50 towards any mattress purchase by visiting casper.com/Dana and using the promo code Dana. That's Casper, CASPER.com/Dana. And welcome to another episode of the Dana Gould Hour podcast, recorded partially in Los Angeles at Falcon's Lair Recording Studios and partially in beautiful Atlanta, Georgia, where it's rained every goddamn day we need to film. We're here doing Season 2 of Stand Against Evil, and I promise you it'll be a wet one. We have 3 slam bang smash pow guests today in a lighthearted romp for your summer enjoyment. Stand-up comedian Joe DeRosa is with us today. You've seen Joe on Better Call Saul, as well as on his own Netflix special. He also has a terrific podcast of his own entitled We'll See You in Hell. And speaking of terrific podcasts, Monster Party's Matt Weinhold is here today. Matt is one of my oldest, dearest buddies, an all-around excellent human being. Also into that box, you would have to put the hilarious April Richardson, whose mom thinks Steve Harvey is funnier than she is. So give a listen, if only to appreciate how incredibly wrong April's mother is. Me? By the time you hear this, I will have just wrapped Season 2 of Stand Against Evil, which will be premiering in October on IFC. It's a good one. We've got some big stars. Dave Koechner, Stephen Ogg from The Walking Dead, Jeffrey Combs from Reanimator, Patricia Clark from The Bad Seed. They're all here. I got them all wet. That's not dirty, that's rain. Anyway, this fall we'll also be seeing the release of my new comedy album, Mr. Funny Man, on Kill Rock Stars. And if you're going to Comic-Con later in July, you'll have 2 opportunities to see me. 1, at the Stand Against Evil panel, and 2, I will be performing live that weekend at the American Comedy Company in San Diego, Friday, June 21st, and Saturday, June 22nd. So for details on all of these and other events, and all the baloney, please check out danagould.com. In the meantime, it's off to do our filthy business.
It's showtime.
It's a sort of a chilly, overcast day here above the Mulholland View Shelf, as we call it here in the hills at Falcon's Lair Recording Studios.
It's cozy in here.
It's nice in here. We have a thing in California called June gloom, where people think, oh, great, it's summer. And then it's gray and overcast for the beginning of every day, and it burns off around 2 o'clock. And people who've come out here to visit in the summer are like, oh, fuck, man. No, just wait. Like literally between 5 of 2 and 2:20, it's all going to blow off.
My theory is the earlier day weather is the real weather, but then like someone in mission control pushes the weather button. Oh, shit.
Yeah. And then it really heats up in August, September, and October. Summer in Los Angeles goes out with 7 weeks of fuck you! And you forget it every year. I've been living in LA since 1989, and every year it's like, well, it's Labor Day. I'm putting my shorts away and wearing long pants. I'm from Massachusetts, goddammit. I'm not going to wear shorts after Labor Day. 6 weeks. Fuck Fuck you!
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you're opening the oven to check tater tots every time you go out to the car.
I'm going to go ride my bike.
Yeah.
I find it unpleasantly warm through most of the year here.
Yes.
Through most of the year.
Really?
I'm annoyed at how warm. At Christmas time, you can't wear a sweater. It's ridiculous.
Well, you're probably wondering who I'm talking to. So let me introduce you and get this underway. Very, very funny comedian, has an excellent horror podcast entitled I'll See You in Hell.
We'll See You in Hell.
We'll See You in Hell, not I'll See You in Hell.
No, We'll See You in Hell on the
God's sakes.
Headgum Network. Patrick Walsh and myself review horror, fantasy, and sci-fi films.
Okay, and your name is Joe DeRosa.
Yes, this is the sound of my voice.
That's how we do things here at the Dana Gould Hour. Never an hour, and always, and you'll never fall behind with our release schedule. I have the same release schedule as the James Bond franchise. Once every 6 years, I crank out an epic.
But they are epics. At least you
yes,
deliver.
Yes, no one ever said so short.
Yeah.
And my other guest, one of my oldest and dearest friends in the business, and sadly in life, who has another great horror podcast. Guess what we're going to talk about today? Well, it's summer, and that's what you get. The lovely and talented, funny lady, Matt Weinhold.
Hi. This is the sound of my voice.
Matt Weinhold's podcast is called Monster Party.
And it is a party.
And it is a party. There's drinking involved. And you just talk about, as you so perfectly described it, our football.
Yes, very much so. Just a bunch of real nerds.
Right.
Not, slick comedian types. These are guys that I found in my life. Real nerds who
Now we should say,
are passionate.
not billionaire nerds, like the nerds that control the world.
No.
When we were growing up, we were referred to as fags. But not in the sexual sense.
No.
We just didn't like sports so much.
I think they
you probably
thought,
liked it more than I did.
I think the jocks thought of it with the fag term. I think they thought eventually, because of what we liked, we'd eventually, through default, become gay.
Yes, my dad did not understand how I could not want to go hunting, want to play sports, watch sports, and yet preferred the company of women to men in the old boudoir.
But like the only sports that I enjoy,
and it's still a mystery to him.
The only sports that I enjoy,
that my life is not just a Sargasso sea of anonymous dick. He doesn't understand why I'm not just running my hands through dick like a Sargasso sea of skin tags.
Just a endless corridor of glory holes.
Yeah, like
Jean Cocteau's La Belle Bête.
Exactly. Like a dandelion under a microscope. Dick! Just bellowing. Yeah, I'm sorry. I like women, and I think the main reason I'm heterosexual is because I need to know when I'm wrong. So that works out well for me to stay in the company of women.
That helps.
Women don't have the whatever chip.
No.
Whatever.
Yeah, as I'm told on a daily basis.
Yeah.
That's not an answer.
Yeah.
My male friends frequently tell me how wrong I am.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but
Those people are called fags, Joe. That has nothing to do with their sexuality.
Can I compliment you on something? And this is what's always made me enjoy you and your comedy. Because I don't know you that well. We've only spoken a few times,
Got
right?
that right.
Yeah. And I don't want it to get any deeper. This is enough. Keep it. I always want there to be a table between us.
Yeah. And the salad of life, you're the lettuce and I am the crouton. We belong in the same bowl, but we're not alike.
No.
And don't ever think we are.
The thing I like about you is based on the joke you just made. It's like I've always appreciated that you're this sort of. I remember seeing you on the Comedians of Comedy, and Patton Oswalt referred to you as one of the godfathers of alt comedy and all these things. You've always been a guy on that other side of the tracks, but you also aren't afraid to be irreverent, and you also do the clubs and whatever. And I always felt like you straddled the fence properly the way most good comedians do.
That is true, to the point that I was never allowed to excel in either venue.
Yes, yeah. Well, I relate to that. I've just kind of been stagnant for about 15 years on both sides.
On my tombstone, it's going to say, he never broke.
Right.
He never broke. Oh, like he was a strong man? No, he never broke through.
Yeah.
He couldn't.
Mine's going to say, who was this comedy for?
Yeah, exactly. Dana Gould, still in the clubs.
I want my tombstone to say, I hope you're all satisfied.
Now only doing theaters.
Behind you.
That's a great one.
That's funny.
But it is true. Like I was talking about this with Ken Reed. Like when you grow up liking this stuff, that's gone now. There are so many things that are gone now. Now, like Comic-Con. When you go to Comic-Con now in San Diego is full of the people that used to make fun of you for going to Comic-Con.
Yes.
Yes. It's like, they've actually gotten the comic books out of Comic-Con. They're now in a separate building.
Well, that's what
the comic books are to Comic-Con what Native Americans are to the United States. We were here first. Yeah, I know. We're just going to need you to get out of here.
Yeah. I knew things were turning with Comic-Con when I saw that there was a How I Met Your Mother panel. And I'm not even joking.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Somebody last night at the club I was working at said, are you going to go to San Diego Comic-Con? And I said, no. And she said, why? And I said, I don't give a shit about the panels. I have zero interest in that. Anything they're talking about, I can read myself or whatever. And then as far as merch goes, it sucks. There's no cool DVDs. There's no cool Blu-rays. There's no more bootleg stuff. Yeah. There are no comic books, as you pointed out.
Yeah,
there are no cool books. I go, once you get past some vintage action figures, what the fuck am I even looking at?
It's just
super corporate.
It's a car show for movie franchises. It's like the thing I hate about Vegas, which is just that. When I do go to Vegas, every time to a fault, I think, it's going to be great. Because I imagine Vegas in 1974. I imagine the Carl Kolchak Vegas. You know,
right?
It's the desert.
No,
couple of high rises.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll see Joey Bishop. Maybe Johnny Carson is at the Sands with the Doc Severinsen Orchestra.
Right.
Maybe Shelley Stevens is in the lounge. And it's just,
now it's Britney.
It's just a bunch of ding dongs in Ed Hardy shirts, standing in front of the Hard Rock Cafe at 8 a.m, drinking a drink and smoking a cigar. And it's like, yes, you and I are both carbon and water, but outside of that, I don't see anything that we have in common.
That's the great shot at the end of the movie Casino, the Scorsese movie. It's so great because they show that slow motion shot of all the old people walking in, and it's intercut with all the casinos being demolished, and it's playing that sort of haunting music, and De Niro goes, Vegas is Disneyland now. And as you see the old people walking in, you actually feel bad that it's not the Vegas where Joe Pesci was robbing everybody and stealing, and it was mob. You actually feel bad. You're like, oh, that sucks.
Well, that was the same thing. There's that weird, because it happened in the past, it was better. There's that weird thing in Boogie Nights where they lament the old days of porn. When it was just a mafia money laundering scam.
Yeah.
Now it's just videos Burt Reynolds doesn't know how to make. There was a meme about this, but it's really it was so true. It was mind-boggling. The first portable phones in the late 90s looked like telephones.
Right. Yeah.
It was the X-Files phone.
Yeah.
And then it had you had to have a cradle installed in your car.
It's like a field phone.
Yeah, like a field phone. You'd have to have a cradle installed in your car for it. You pop it out. And then they made them smaller by having the mouthpiece flip up and down like a communicator. Mm-hmm. And then the first smartphones came out. And then they were the smartphones. And then they got smaller. Hey, we make them smaller. And they get smaller. We make it smaller. Then they realized, wait, people are using them by and large to watch porn. So they started to get bigger and bigger. And now they're like chalkboards.
Yeah,
it's it's the only technology that got bigger as the technology was more refined because the use for it was demanded a bigger screen. But yeah, Vegas is like that. You and I were talking about a project that may or may not happen in the wide world of show business. I'm doing some of those. It was about going to these, for lack of a better term, time capsules that are buildings that shouldn't exist anymore. And they really are like stepping back into time. The one that I really equate with here in Southern California is the Moonlight Roller Rink in Glendale.
Oh, wow.
Like that has been going since it's right over there. It's right on the Burbank Glendale line. It's been there since the late 50s.
That
and
sounds
you go
a lot
in there,
like sports.
And it is a roller rink. You know exactly. It started in the late 50s, early 60s, and it was a roller rink. And then, it had a disco ball put in like 1976.
Sure.
And it's still going. And I literally like freak out. Like, these are the same urinals like people in the 50s peed in.
Yeah.
You know, or like when you go into like when you're in St. Louis and you go into like the library or something, you go down to the old marble bathroom, like, wow, this is Lyndon Johnson peed here. This is crazy.
Well, for me,
you can touch it. You can touch it. Something from the past. Because here in LA, it's like, this building is over 11 years old. We've got to bulldoze it.
Right. And for LA, what I really like about LA and the things that they preserve, at least so far, are the old movie palaces. The fact that those things, they don't really show movies anymore. Occasionally they do, but they're so beautiful. And every once in a while, there'll be some little showing of a film and you get to go in and you see these they really are palaces.
Yes.
You go into a bathroom and each stall has a different theme and you're like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Which one's that?
There was one that Carrie, my wife, went to where
Your telekinetic wife.
my telekinetic wife, who controls my every move, and she saw the original King Kong. And
Fake.
and they had at the screening, they had this woman who was Fay Ray's stand-in, who was like 97 years old.
Now she just looked like a pile of garlic. My dad once went to, we lived in Cape Cod for a while, and my dad said, I saw Rose Kennedy at church this morning. Jesus, she looks like a pile of peppers.
But yeah, those places are gorgeous. And anytime you have any opportunity, especially if you live obviously in the Los Angeles area, check out one of these places because they should be museums.
Yeah.
It's the thing that keeps me sane in Los Angeles. It's not a place
Where did you grow up, Joe?
I grew up outside of Philadelphia. So I'm very East Coast. And I think
You don't have a Philly accent.
I did. I've sort of shaved it off over the years because it's disgusting sounding. It's a really gross accent.
It's a weird accent.
Yeah. It's really.
I just do Chris Matthews. I don't really know the accent. I can only talk about Chris Matthews.
It's like, oh, dude, you dudes want to go get some fucking food, dude?
Yeah, guys.
Yeah. We've got a keg this weekend. You know, it's really hard.
Donald Trump in the news. Blues Clues. Kids watch too much TV. He's just free associating. Tell me something I don't know. You speak your every thought. What? You don't have to say everything you think out loud. Vampires are real.
Vampires, umpires, kill the ump.
Chris Matthews is the Night Stalker. He is Kolchak if Kolchak had a political beat. I'm telling you, this guy.
I want to see that show.
Yeah, Chris Matthews is
The Night Stalker.
It's a vampire.
Yeah. Tell me this guy thinks he's a vampire. Vampire V. Not a lot of words start with V. Okay, why is that? Vineyard, vine. Vine comes from vineyard, so that's really one word. 7 more women killed. Velocity.
You can get this meeting.
Kolchak, get out of my office. It's something else. Cheney. It's not Cheney, it's Cheney. Get out of my office, Kolchak. Janet Reno, beautiful. She's attractive. She comes on TV. She's well kempt. Well kempt. That was what he said about Susan Rice during her testimony. She comes there. She's very attractive.
Well,
her lips, supple, beckoning lips.
Yeah. I like it.
Moistened like the wings of a butterfly.
When he's running out of ideas, that's when you're like, okay, here it goes. Now it's going to start.
The sun is breaking through a gray day here atop beautiful Mulholland Drive, here in the scrappy Hollywood Hills. I like to think of this podcast as the podcast that would have come with 77 Sunset Strip. Yeah. I'm just giving you a little taste of how we do things here in Los Angeles, California, or as Ed Wood would say, Hollywood, California. Where is this podcast coming to you from? Hollywood, California. My guest today is one of my favorite people on earth. A very, very funny and talented young comedian, plays clubs and colleges all over this great country. April Richardson is here.
Hi. My favorite part of that is that you called me young.
Well, we're both young.
Yes.
Compared to the trees surrounding my home.
I guess that's true, technically.
The other day, I was sitting on my chair, and my cat, Mr. Mustache, came and sat on my lap. I have 2 dogs and cats that go back and forth with my kids between their house and their mom's house.
Okay.
So the cats are here half the time.
Okay.
And Mr. Mustache was sitting on my lap, and I took a selfie where it's just he and I looking directly into the camera lens.
Yes, I saw that. It was great.
And I wrote, "Say what?" as a little meme. And I showed it to my brother-in-law, and he said, "Man, are you single?"
Aw.
And I said, "Yeah."
Is there a stereotype of a cat man?
I just think
instead
an
of a
old
cat
dude
lady?
taking a dude sitting around his house taking pictures of him and a cat. That's pretty far down the line.
Right.
Yeah. I wasn't wearing a sweater. I
So it
wasn't surrounded by paperback mystery novels.
Sure.
Or a racing form.
What?
I prepare my own meals. I don't have a trash can full of Hungry Man trays.
Right. But what is the equivalent of the lonely cat lady? What's the stereotype for single men? Because it's not really a cat man.
No, my friend calls them wags, weird alone guys.
I like that.
Yeah, weird alone guys. I'm terrified I'll end up a weird alone guy.
But you won't, though. You have children.
Oh, they blow you off the minute they can.
That's
Trust
not
me.
necessarily true. You're a cool dad, though. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that
They
will.
might circle back.
Yeah, they definitely will want to hang out with
I'll
you.
dart one of them.
I truly have a fear of I'm an only child
Mm-hmm.
with no kids. No one will be more alone than me.
No.
I am an island, it turns out.
You are a rock.
Yeah.
You are an island. And a rock feels no pain. Not true.
Yeah, that is not true. But I do fear that because I know I'm not going to have kids. So
You might hook up with some dude that has kids. 3 Chinese kids. He moves the mic aside. His lips hideously pursing like a dying orchid. His lips pursed.
is this still recording?
His lips pursed like time-lapse footage of a dying flower.
Like turning to dust.
Yeah. Leaning in for a kiss with your mouth already open and tongue poised.
You know you're saying all this out loud, right?
I am.
Okay.
How is it that I'm single? But
You will not end up a weird alone guy.
Well,
I guarantee it.
Partially I am a weird alone guy. Yeah, maybe that'll just be it. But I know, like, I'm as of late been hanging out with a very, very talented comedy writer who's 91.
Right.
And I said, "Hey, are you going to get married again?" Because he's very wealthy. And he goes, "Why do I have somebody to tell me what to do at this point in my life?"
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I
What
can
is-
see that.
You know Martha Kelly?
Who's Martha Kelly?
She's a stand-up. She's in Baskets now.
Oh,
She's a
okay.
stand-up
Yeah.
from
I
Austin.
know who she is. Yeah.
She's amazing and hilarious. And
Right.
she has this one bit I saw years ago, and I think about it all
She's
the
the
time.
co-star, correct?
Yes. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And she has this stand-up bit talking about that, like talking about people getting married later in life. And I'm going to mess it up and not do it the justice it deserves, so please look it up, listeners. But it's something like...
look it up in your jokes dictionary.
Look it up. I'm sure it's got to be online or something, but she talks about, she was like, getting married late in life is like hiring a bee to fly around you at the last mile of a marathon.
That's unbelievable.
I mean, it's something, and I'm like, this is the funniest thing
That's
ever.
unbelievable.
Yeah, because I think she might have been talking about like one of her parents getting married later or something, and just being like, why are you doing that? Getting married at like 70 or something, where it's like, what? Who cares at that point?
My friend's mom lives up in Mill Valley, and she's in her late 70s, and she's been divorced for years and years. And she lives alone, but she's very close with like her old boyfriends who are now like her old
Right.
boyfriend's 79.
Right.
But they hang out. You hang out with people, and I think a lot of it is people are programmed to meet someone. It's the love of your life.
Right.
We have this crazy fiction that permeates the culture that you see it on the game shows where we give away a wedding at the end.
Right.
Like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, which is all it is, by the
Right.
way. Whenever you talk about marriage is sacred, really?
Is it?
We
I
give one
feel-
away
yes.
as the prize on a game show.
1,000%. I feel
Yeah.
that way. And also, this is a true story because this happened when everybody at the apex of the debate of whether or not gay marriage should be legal. And, you know, all conservative people have been like, oh, no, it's sacred, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's when David, my ex-husband, and I finally filed for divorce, and we did it all online. And when we got to the end, no joke, there was a coupon for $99 off your next divorce on the website. I promise. I did a screen grab of it because we're like,
Groupon.
how sacred is this?
Yeah.
If there's a coupon for it.
I believe in traditional marriage two children who don't know each other are betrothed by their parents in exchange for lands and armies.
Yes, exactly. So if you don't adhere to that,
it's not a very traditional marriage.
Exactly.
Is it? And then you have this theory of, and then you meet true love. Like they always say that on The Bachelor. You can tell that they're told to always say true love and working into any situation. When he ordered mashed potatoes and didn't get gravy, I don't like gravy either, and I felt like I was finding true love.
Totally.
I totally felt like we totally connected for true love in the helicopter going to the amusement park.
Exactly. And exactly like the fact that first date, like, like every first date that has a helicopter involved and a hot tub,
Yeah.
Those
and
casual first dates.
True love. And people, none of these things work. It's always a joke. But people just buy it because it's a typical dramatic structure.
Right.
It's in all of our myths. It's in all of our stories. And here's a pop cultural one that people forget to talk about. John Lennon and Yoko Ono's relationship is textbook unhealthy.
Yeah.
Textbook unhealthy.
We're
one person now.
Yes.
That's horrible.
Yes. Listen, that's part of what broke up my last relationship.
Yoko Ono? She breaks up everything.
Yes. Because of that, I kind of balked at that, like, now we're one idea. And not because the dude wasn't great. He was a great dude. It's just, I was so like,
have you seen him lately?
Yeah.
We'll get to that. But no, continue what you're saying.
Fault. I swear I'm not saying this to shit on him in any way. Like, he was a truly romantic dude and he meant it.
Well, we should just full disclosure. I'm dating him now.
Yeah. And now you are one.
And now we are one.
He meant it in the loveliest way.
Nothing more heterosexual than two straight dudes becoming one,
sharing one dick, jerking off one dick,
sharing one dick. We docked, and we just painted just the lightest glaze of super glue, and now we walk around looking like the letter H.
Totally, just. Well, I also, in my vows, when I got married, we specifically, I remember David and I both, we were on the same page with that because the guy, our officiant, was like, here, the traditional vows or whatever. And it did say things about two becoming one. And we both were like, no, cut that part out.
That's baloney.
Like, we were both like, we're still our own people.
Right.
Or our own persons. I don't know how you would phrase that grammatically, but I have a weird aversion to that, which makes me feel less romantic than maybe somebody who's into that. I don't know.
It's just not healthy.
Yeah.
That's not what a relationship is.
Yeah.
I mean, you become one economic unit.
Well, and I also, I guess my idea of a relationship ideally is that it's like two whole people coming together. It's like two people who have their shit together coming together to be like, now let's just have more fun. I don't want it to be a thing where
it is like, when a man and a woman meet and together live the woman's life.
Yeah. I've never had that. That's never, my thing has always been like, oh, you really want to hang out with me all the time? I'll take it. Because I've always felt I'm very like abrasive. I don't
find that.
Yeah, it's rare. I appreciate you saying that, but I have dated a couple of dudes who were like, you're too much to deal with. Because
in what regard?
Because I'm just kind of like loud and hyper, and I'm really this one
guy
I dated,
be like hanging out with me.
Well, that's kind of what one guy was like. I just feel like this is the April show, and I just was like, I wish I knew how to be quieter. There are times I'm like, I wish I was that type of person that's like quiet and thoughtful and pensive, but I'm not. I'm like a loud, crazy person.
Yeah. But
not irrational crazy, but like just if I get
think that
excited,
would be a tremendous relief.
It's not.
To just, you do it. You be the funny one.
Yeah, but you think that, and then I think when you experience it, I think that's what I was to the last two guys I dated.
Uh-huh.
It is initially appealing. I think from afar, it's like, this will be fun. And then when it's a thing where you have to deal with it every day, they're like, oh, all right, okay, well, I didn't know this was a 24-hour a day thing.
Were these guys performers?
Yeah, one of them was.
Has that ever worked? Has that ever worked? I guess with Jerry Stiller and Ann Mira, it worked.
I don't know because
do we know anybody that's?
Well, surely we must, right? Like Moshe and Natasha.
Moshe Kasher and Natasha Leggero are married.
That's kind of my dream. I feel
they share one dick.
They share one dick.
They docked.
That's the ideal to me, because I would think that if you had two people in the same profession or two artists, I know that sounds like a pretentious word, but it's like, to me, you would be each other's music. Like, the ideal is that you would keep each other on your toes.
I think it's hard to keep competition out of it.
Right.
And I don't know. I dated one performer. I dated Blue Man Group.
But when you
group.
two were not like in the same genre of performance, I guess. So it's maybe a little different.
Yeah. It's hard to date somebody who also has your job.
Right.
If there's inequities in success level, despite the fact that one person has been doing it much longer or whatever. It's just, it's always typical. There's always some kind of, but I know a lot of writers that are married to other writers.
Well,
and that's, they have no problem at all. And I wonder if this goes with, like, do doctors marry nurses, or do doctors
I wonder
marry
that
other
as
doctors?
well.
I think they all marry lawyers and they keep all the money, and the rest of us are just like apes.
Well, what we do is so unique, though, that I think
Clowning?
Yes, in the way that it is. When I was dating another comic, the one relief was they understood. It wasn't weird that I had to be out of town every weekend.
Sure.
Or that I had to be out late at night all the time. Like, they were like, oh, yeah, I know what you're doing. Right. Whereas when I had dated a non-comedian,
you're a monster hunter.
I have to go kill vampires. But like, when I dated a guy who wasn't a comic, he was kind of like, wait a minute, why do you have to hang out every night late at night with other dudes? You know, where I'm like, oh, we call those open mics. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Nothing shady is going on. And so I think for like a person outside of this, that's kind of hard to get used to. Or to be like, oh, I've got to be out of town every weekend. They're not going to be cool with that. Understandably so. So that is one benefit of dating another comedian.
The thing that keeps me sane living out here, because it's not the place I would choose to live ultimately, but the thing that keeps me, and I don't hate it. I'm not one of these people who fucking really sucks. But it's not my favorite place. But the thing that keeps me sane is that I'm a true mediophile, and I think it is the best place to live if you're a fan in any way of cinema and whatever, for obvious reasons. But one of those reasons is the old movie theaters. You know? But also talk about time capsules. This is the last place on Earth outside of, not the last place on Earth, but there's a handful of countries or cities in this country now where you can find record stores, where you can go into a store and buy records and buy DVDs and buy VHS tapes if you like that sort of thing. Yeah. And
for Amoeba alone, it's pretty awesome.
I'm 10 minutes from Amoeba. Keeps me safe.
VHS tapes.
Yeah, and they still have a wall of them that you can peruse.
I say surprisingly.
Here's the thing about Blockbuster that I miss.
Yeah.
Is Blockbuster was great to make you go to the toilet. If I was overdue on a shit, all I'd have to do is go to Blockbuster and go, I gotta shit, I gotta go. They didn't have them because they didn't have them in there.
Oh, okay.
They didn't have bathrooms in there, so you go, shit.
And there was that bad smell. Every Blockbuster had that weird, sweet It was like when you walk into one of those porn shops in New York. They all had that smell of like, did they just clean the floors?
That's the smell of men enjoying themselves.
Yeah, it was always a steamy.
Well, there was the weird in the 2020 videos specifically. They didn't have this in Blockbuster, but in the video stores that had the quote adult section, where
I love 2020. I
where
miss
people
that place.
feel anything but adult.
With the curtain.
Yeah, or it was Western doors.
Right.
Western
Yes, right.
And you push through it and you're like, shame. But what's weird is you've never seen people respect each other's space more than in the adult section of a video store. Everybody's 40 feet away from each other.
Yeah. No one's going to go, have you seen this one? It's like,
If a guy gets shot in the street, people pile on. Hey, over there. Like, give the man some space. He's picking out porn. Back off. The man needs room.
It never got any easier. The internet has ruined porn and the allure and the excitement of it all.
No, it's like tap water now.
Yeah, but the one good thing is that you could say to me or I could say to you, yeah, porn, right? And we could talk about it calmly and not feel weird. Yeah. It never got any easier when you had to go into that back room. You always felt like a fucking pedophile or something.
Oh, yeah. Going up to the table.
Especially if you had a bunch of pedophile videos.
Well, that was my problem, because that was all I ever rented.
Look, these are Little Rascal shorts, okay? They have nothing. I got them from the mainstream section.
I can say this about this person because he's dead. I was at the 2020 video on Ventura Boulevard here in Studio City, right down the hill, in the store that is now, I believe, a Relax the Back store.
How appropriate.
It's right next to the Baskin Robbins, whatever store it is. It's right in there. And Taxi's Jeff Conaway.
I would say Babylon 5, but go ahead.
Came out of the adult section with, remember on Sesame Street, 8, 8, let's sing a song of 8. Mm-hmm. The man that came out with 8 cakes or 8 pies. Like, remember the chef? I think it was 8. I hope that was the right. I might have the number wrong. It might have been 9. 9 pie. And he fell down the stairs. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yes.
That much porno tape. Just like literally like 14.
And I'm assuming
boxes.
Very unashamed, just like proudly walking out.
And we have a friend named Alex Reed, who was a very funny comedy writer, who had a really funny joke about reggae. He goes, I have one reggae album. You only need one. And you have to admit, porn's kind of the same thing. You really only need one. It's like,
you need
really?
Different faces over
Yeah,
time.
but like 11?
Now-
Like, really? 11? Are you going to go outside this weekend?
Do you know what that is? I actually have a little insight here.
Okay.
I knew a lady who used to work at a porn store, and she talked about when guys would do
Yes,
that.
I do know what it is. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's called sadness personified.
But she talked about when guys would rent a bunch of movies, and Conway's a pretty well-known addict, right? You know, he was always on
guess so,
Celebrity
yeah.
Rehab and everything. She goes, it's gross. These are guys that are addicted, and they rent a ton because all they get off on is the money shot. So they just fast forward to that part in the scene or in the movie, and they just speed through it like a fucking addict would with drugs or booze or whatever.
Somebody said, and it wasn't me, and I wish it was, that those movies would be so much better if at the end they just tagged on footage of birth. And you'd feel like that the movie really was about something. And then a baby is born. Public education. The diamond in the crown of the American social welfare net.
But buying one or renting one adult video with your other videos is more like, like that scene in Bananas, Woody Allen, where he slips in the girly mag with his other magazines.
When he was pretending to be a pervert.
Pretending to be a pervert, right. But like when you go from one slipped in or say 2 to 11, then you got to walk in with your head held high.
Yeah.
I'm here for porn.
Yeah, you've got to go in like that Mr. Show sketch. Enjoy your porn.
Yes.
Well, and it's probably his store. So how many times you going to do?
Jeff.
Yeah, how many times you going to do the dance of going like?
These are for research.
Yeah. I don't always do this.
Lenny Bruce bit about airplane glue. I have big boy tablet. 4,000 tubes of airplane glue. They have those stores now that they used to have that creepy. There was one on Coanga Boulevard, Casanova's Adult World, which I just loved for the
greatest name ever.
Adult World. So much porn, you'll forget you're on the earth itself.
Yeah, we had a porn store in my neighborhood where I grew up called Adult World. It's
Adult
still
World.
there.
But
it's
now
one of the
they're
only
all-
still standing things. I can't believe it's still there.
But now they're all like romantics.
Yeah,
With an X. It's
Yeah,
like
don't
the
class it
couples,
up.
Couples come in.
I want a place just called Filth.
This is the last thing I'll say about this because it's an untoward topic and we're a family show. There's a store in West Hollywood that is a pretty upscale store for that sort of stuff called the Pleasure Chest. And there's a comedy show in it
yeah.
that T.J. Miller started.
Yeah.
Your joke here. But ever so often they go, you want to come down? Like, yeah, I'll come down. And so I'm going down, I'm looking around. And the vibrating appliances for gals no longer even pretend to look anatomical.
No.
And they're all weird colors. It looks like replacement limbs for Muppets that were injured in the war. It looks like it's blue or it's red or it's green, and it looks like the partially melted limb of an elaborate ice sculpture.
Or it's like they're
So
now
I'm
the
just
shapes.
like, oh, this passed me by now.
Yeah. Or they're the shapes of things that you used to have to use before there were vibrators. So it looks like a corn cob, It's
Yeah. Yeah. It
It's
looks
a
like
sausage.
an old
It's a cucumber.
juicer.
Yeah, they all look like something that you made in wood shop, but then you didn't know what it was.
I also find it
Well, for me, it was
disturbing.
Metal Shop.
They're all named after animals, which I find disturbing. It's always called like the hamster. I'm like,
Oh,
that's,
God.
that's just a terrible name for something
God.
like that. Well, the famous one's the jackrabbit. It's like, why would you call it that? That's not a vision you want to have in your head.
Well, because it's also like a fertility thing, too. So it's like, is this
It's a-
going to get me pregnant?
It's a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things. Call it the carrot. Don't call it the
Call it
jackrabbit.
fake dick.
You know what they should call it? Your business.
Yeah.
And the tagline could be, "This is your business."
Simple.
Yeah.
That's what sells.
Yeah.
How do we get on
Now,
this?
what about the other side of it, though? Because working at Playboy, you know,
Oh, yeah, you work at Playboy.
well, yeah, and there was always my boss was great because she always had this.
But your boss
of
is
like,
not Hugh Hefner.
No, this would be.
Well, you work at Playboy.
Well,
Your
yeah,
boss
yeah, no,
ostensibly
this
is Hugh
was,
Hefner.
yeah, this was the TV side of it. So
Right.
my boss was Wendy Miller, the greatest boss ever, really. She'd have this box in her office that was just giveaways. And I remember bringing my in-laws to the office, and they gave, and these are like, they live in Arkansas. And my boss is like, "Here, you want this one? I don't know what it does, but plug it in."
Yeah, well, they're from Arkansas, so they pick up a dildo and go, "So this is supposed to be your cousin's?" No, you idiot. This doesn't look anything like my sister's vagina. No, you clod. It's Mad Magazine. No, you clod.
But I got,
Because everybody in the South is inbred.
That is true.
I got that. No, we can't. I'm not. The letters were
No. There's no. Everyone's perfect everywhere. That's why our country's in such great shape, because everyone's so smart.
Everyone's so good. Yeah. I
a-
got as a freebie the fleshlight. You know the fleshlight.
Oh yeah, no way, dude.
But I was the vampire one. It was called the suck you off.
Gee.
Stop it. Was
I
it
can
really
be
called
honest-
that?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know what it is. Like, maybe it's being from New England. It's just this stuff makes me so uncomfortable.
I get a little tense up every time you go, I felt bad about saying the money shot.
No,
thing.
that's fine.
but
I'm a
flashlight-
pig. I just can't talk about it. I'm a bigger pig than both of you combined, I'm sure.
But the fleshlight is wasted money because you could just fill a thermos with meat. And
I have a funny.
I did the Moon Tower Comedy Festival 2 years ago, and they gave away fleshlights in the bag. And it's just like, you don't need to underline the fact that I'm alone.
I know.
You know, like, okay, like, no, I get it. Why don't you give me a box of Brock's chocolates and a tissue box? You know, it's like, I get it. I'm alone in the hotel room. I spend a lot of my time like this.
I was going to tell a very similar story. I was down in Austin doing Cap City, and I went on the morning show in Austin.
Skeeter and Paddlefoot.
I'm forgetting the name. But anyway,
Moondog and Cheech. No, those guys are actually really nice.
yeah, those
they're
guys
great.
Those guys
cool.
are great.
Yeah,
It's
By and large, it's always a regular guy's
Yeah.
name and that of an animal.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always like Dennis and the Wombat.
Yeah.
You know, but those guys in Austin are terrific.
They're great.
Yes.
I'm blanking only because
Yeah.
my brain's a little fried right now. But anyway, they gave me a flashlight, and the lady who I'm also blanking on her name, who was like one of the owners of Cap City, was driving me for press, and I was carried this flashlight out of the building. You feel like a fucking idiot. And then she goes, "Do you want to ride back to the hotel?" And I go, "You know what? I'm going to go walk around the city. Hey, can you just take this?" And she goes, "No."
Just throw it away. Just throw it away.
I did. I just threw it in the garbage.
It's I don't know. Honestly, to me, that's the thing you would use once and throw it away. Like,
how dare
what,
you?
you just throw it in the dishwasher? Is it dishwasher safe?
Of course.
I think so. Yeah.
Ugh.
I
You
never.
get a good brush, scrub it out.
I was afraid.
No.
I was afraid to use it because I was afraid it would be like heroin, and you'd be like, "I'm never coming back."
No,
from this.
I literally no,
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
have
it was
the
like-
I have the lapsed Catholic fear that
It'll come to life.
I'm going to have to watch this one day. You know, the defending your life. Let's see what that week was like in Austin, Dana. And it's just me fucking a flashlight, which is basically what it looks like. That's what my
Yes.
thing about vaping. The great taste of steam, the cool look of blowing a flashlight.
Yeah. And I'll say this about vaping. I'm trying to stop. I'm not a heavy smoker, but I'm trying to stop the amount that I do smoke. And I got a vape cigarette to just try to get off, and it tastes like shit. It has this weird, sweet flavor, like the smell in Blockbuster.
Like
Yeah.
the smell, sickly, sweet.
It's just gross.
My cruel.
What is that?
That's a first season,
What episode is that?
the scary cloud that fucked up Kirk's career when he was an ensign.
Oh, Obsession.
Yeah, is that the name of it?
Yes.
I know.
That's a Star Trek episode.
I know.
I know that smell.
I know.
I know that smell. Honey, sweet.
Wow.
It's killing a crew. I see him all the time. He lives in this neighborhood,
Yeah?
I'll tell you the creepiest William Shatner story. I may have told it on this podcast before. As I drag this conversation away from fleshlights like a deer I hit on the highway, just pulling it out of the lane. No. So I'm in the parking lot of the CVS, and I see Mr. Shatner, who I see around. He's in the hood.
And does he know you?
Nope. No. This was right after his wife passed away. And I'll never forget, it was so weird. He was putting like a styrofoam cooler, like a cheap, shitty $2 cooler, into the trunk of a Mercedes, which was incongruous to begin with. And only in LA, a guy drove by him and without stopping went, "Sorry about your wife." Like a grief Doppler. And he just went, "Thank you." Like over his shoulder. It was just like, "Oh, don't say anything. Oh, don't say anything. God, Jesus. Oh, thank you." And then I was with Rob Cohen, frequent guest on this podcast, and we were at Art's Deli, or as we call it, being two grown men, fart smelly. And we're just sitting there eating, and Rob goes, "Holy shit, very slowly turn to your left." And I turn to my left, and I just see these flip-flops and feet, and the toes look like Doritos, these Frito toenails. And then I hear that voice, and it's Shatner, and he's sitting right next to us, like with his new chick and a couple.
"I'd like a chicken sandwich and coffee."
And they're talking about the Donnas.
What?
The band.
Well, the drummer on the Donnas is incredibly underrated.
Wow.
Yeah,
I think I love him now.
Yeah, it was really weird. I think his new wife is related to somebody in the Donnas or something, but it was really strange.
And you guys are far more Star Trek men than Star Wars men, correct? Am I right in saying that?
I am definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it all.
To me, there's just way more that's good in Star Trek than Star Wars. There's just a wealth of material, show after show after show.
Right.
I was talking about this the other day with somebody. This is where the conversation veers from being about sex to about things that you say that create a level of vaginal dryness that will harm the ozone.
Right.
This is sand in your vagina time. Two things about Star Wars. Now that they're going to just make them every year or whatever they do, which I love. Great. More the merrier.
And I take it you're, Joe, more of a Star Wars guy?
I like Star Trek quite a bit. I own all the original films, and I've seen a lot of the TV series, but I'm Star Wars all the way.
Okay.
110%.
Okay.
This conversation is why the name of this episode is Three Swinging Dicks.
Yeah. But I can say this: the reason I'm more Star Wars than Star Trek is because I like science fiction, but I like fantasy more than I like science fiction. And
I'm
that
just
makes
imagining
sense.
a woman listening to this podcast in the car, and she's pulling over right now to rub one off. I got to find a rest area.
right, her car catches on fire from the dryness.
I gotta find a rest area. This one dude's more wars than Trek.
Yeah, if you ever want to start a fire in the wilderness,
The plane crashed and we survived, and we're gonna freeze to death unless I talk about why the Empire Strikes Back introduced a way to it was wrong in the way they handled their lightsabers. They have to stop having the Empire get its ass kicked in every movie. It's like Rogue One was about like, no, the Empire's awful and they're kicking our ass. And like, no, actually, we just kicked their ass. They have to lose, and they have to stop blowing up the Death Star with every.
Well, that
movie.
was my thing. Is like maybe stop with the round shape, like
the round shape, and stop. Just come up with a different ending.
Yeah.
Stop blowing up the Death Star every movie.
Well,
I agree.
Think about it. There's two ways you can end this: a sword fight or a big thing blowing up. I bet there's a third way.
Yeah,
I bet there's a third way.
I have thoughts on that. I have many thoughts on what you just said.
All right, go.
If I may. So the first movie, obviously, you got your Death Star. You don't have it in your second movie, Empire Strikes Back. You have it in the third movie because he's doing the Tolkien, Joseph, what's his face here?
Campbell.
Yeah.
No, I just thought that was an orgasm of lazy screenwriting. What about another Death Star?
Well,
But easier to blow up.
Yeah.
But as you both know, I'm sure in a perfect trilogy, you call back to the original in the third installment, and you have parallels that weren't there in the second one. So I'll give that one the pass.
Well, you will. I won't.
No.
Abrams' reboot clearly is the next time we see something like that. And that
By
was,
boot, you mean make?
and I really like that movie, but that was clearly him being like, we have to get things back on track here because people were too angry.
And
about-
that's why I forgave that for
Yeah.
that movie. I thought it was a reset.
Yeah. And then that's it. The other
And
one's just about the Death Star plants. That's 3.
Yeah. So
only 3,
Rogue I will also forgive because it's a prequel.
Right. Everyone agrees that those 3 first movies didn't exist.
No, I don't agree with that. I feel like you're going to throw me out of your house.
Here we go.
But go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
They're all execrable, and they.
I wish I knew what that word meant. I feel like it's not a positive word.
No, they're. I didn't enjoy. I thought they were bad, and then he just took everything that was great about Star Wars and threw it out.
Yeah. The life, the heart of those first.
The fact that the great thing about Star Wars was it was the first science fiction movie, really, where it looked like a lived-in world. The ships were dirty, the robots were dented. Luke Skywalker's outfit wasn't like Flash Gordon's; he was just like in a bathrobe,
a toga.
He was in a bathrobe. I was like, that was interesting. I thought that had never been done before. I thought it was really clever. And the other movies to lesser diminishing returns. The Empire Strikes Back I thought was better, and then it gets into very diminishing. And then
easy to have a great movie that has no ending. But go on.
And then in the new ones, everything was like, no, it's clean and shiny and new, and there's no dirt or dents anywhere, and every planet looks like Marin. Every planet looks like that planet I see when I look out my window. It's about trade and taxes and all these things that bother me now. And I
think I can almost defend this, but go.
The best review that I heard of the prequel trilogy, and I really do agree with it. My opinion has always been that it's perfectly divided in half. Halfway through the second movie, it gets fun and interesting again. There's a big Jedi battle arena at the end of the second movie. You get to see Jango Fett on the Rain planet fighting Obi-Wan. That's fun. And I like the third movie. I think it's cool to see.
The third is the best of the 3.
Absolutely.
I would
can't even tell them apart.
But the best review I ever heard of the trilogy, of that prequel trilogy, was the first one sucks. The second one is forgettable, but you watch it and you're like, whatever. And then the third one is pretty good.
The first one sucks. The second one is forgettable, and the third one's pretty good.
Yeah,
all right.
You know,
is a forgive. I don't know everything. I'm not always right.
But the clean part, though, that's because that
didn't bother me.
What was the one where the guy who has no chemistry with the girl that are supposed to be in love are talking, but you're not listening to what they're saying in their very important conversation because there's a robot cleaning the windows behind them?
Yeah.
That's the second one. Yeah.
Well, and that's how Lucas ruins everything.
The definition of what you're not supposed to do is always pull focus from what's going on in the scene.
Right.
Yeah.
Always pull focus from what's going on.
What the first?
But it has to look like a world that's lived.
No. You're telling a story. Ding dong.
He made some mistakes, but I
special edition clutter, all across those 3 films.
But I also felt like he got back on. That's why I liked Sith so much. I felt like the first one felt like a guy who had been out of not working. I mean, that's the thing. Everybody goes, what happened to George Lucas? It's like, he only wrote and directed the first Star Wars movie. He didn't write the second one. Right. He didn't write the third one. He didn't direct them.
For 40 years, he's been waiting to make enough billions to make small experimental films. Yeah. You know, the kind of things that people do every day for free on their phone.
When Radio Flyer or whatever other movies
I was trying to make small
well, you know, people are making, have you seen Tangerine? It was made on a phone. You could make that.
Oh, I need another $11 billion before I make a small experimental film.
My thing with him as a director is that there's a reason why he only directed one, because he's not really that good.
American Graffiti
is great, but
and
I think
THX is great. I really like THX quite a bit.
It's an interesting, but I think when it comes to
here's the pitch for THX: Robert Duvall in pajamas. Here's $10 million. There's 2 things that are going on with me now. I was in a very several long relationships in my life.
Right.
I had an 18-year marriage, relationship marriage. And then I had a serious relationship after. And I think that, one, I have no more rubber on my crazy brake.
Right. That's a good way of saying
and
it.
I'm not saying I'm sane and other people are crazy. It's like the minute something that seems seriously incompatible rears its head, I just go like, I don't want to work through this. Goodbye. No, it's fine. Let's just not.
Yeah.
Let's just not. And then I'm also, to paraphrase my friend Kevin Rooney, I'm so set in my ways that I'm afraid the only person I could date now is me with tits.
Yeah. I almost feel the same way, and it terrifies
You have tits,
me.
dear.
Well, I want some more. I want another pair.
I want 4 tits. You keep them in a bag.
I want to play speed bag with them.
April's backpack full of tits.
Hey. That's like a children's book. I can envision the cover now. But I feel the same way in a terrifying way.
It was a 4-tit Sunday. That's the name of the book.
And just a cartoon of me with an overflowing backpack of tits.
Full of tits.
Hey, I'm going hiking. No, I feel the same way. And I'm genuinely terrified of it because I don't want to be a person set in my ways. Like, I don't want to be an old grump that's like, if it's not something done the way I would do it, then I hate it or it upsets me or I'm not open to change. I don't want to be that person. I truly don't. But it's like, I've lived alone so long now and have been alone so long now that it's almost, I have to go out of my way to be uncomfortable. Like, I have to.
You don't know what it's like to be in your home and hold a fart.
Yeah.
You just let them rip 24/7.
24/7. Be careful when you come sit on my couch.
You might jar several.
Yes. But it's true. That's totally true. And I've, for so long, never had to do anything I didn't want to do. I never had to go to a party I didn't want to go to some friend's house, like a significant other's friend. I've been boyfriendless for so many years now that I have to make it up. I have to practice doing things I don't want to do. So I do that sometimes. Like if somebody goes, come to this party and I like super don't want to, I do it anyway as an exercise of like, I need to do something.
I do that too. Like I go, I'm just going to say yes to stuff.
Yeah.
And just to see what happens.
Yeah, same.
And usually it ends in a situation that is frustrating.
Right. Right. But it's a thing to get used to because, I mean, it does for me.
I usually go out and I meet the perfect woman and her husband and their children.
That's basically also my life.
Yeah.
It's so rare for me to connect with somebody in that way. Whenever I talk about dating and how it doesn't happen a lot for me, I think it's misconstrued as I'm in no way like a sad sack. I get asked out.
You're not.
A fair
No, you're
amount,
not. You're not.
But I say no a lot.
I don't think either one of us are.
Yeah. That's the thing that is upsetting in a comedic way when I talk about it and I try to make jokes about it because so many men take that as an invitation to be like, well, I'd fuck you. And it's like,
Gee, thanks.
100%. Where I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. And I'm not, and it's not.
Gee, I'd fuck you.
I get that so many times.
He purred.
Yeah. Where I'm like, that takes away my
that's
agency.
the ultimate. That, by the way, that is guys missing the point.
Entirely.
That is the diamond of how men miss the point. If you could encapsulate how men miss the point about women into a jewel, that would be the Hope Diamond.
100%.
Dick pics are the perfect example of how men don't get it. Here's a thing.
Yeah.
That no woman is excited to get, but
they'll send them to strangers.
Yeah, but I love that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know how prevalent it was until I did a joke about it on stage, and then women started like, oh my God.
Oh, I get them emailed to me from perfect strangers.
Oh, yeah. No,
if I'm on at midnight, whenever I'm on any sort of TV thing, the next day, my Twitter and my email, it's all like super gnarly stuff.
Yeah, it looks like a dandelion under a microscope. It's just a sea of dicks.
It's truly, and it is this. It's so interesting to me. I rarely write back. Sometimes I do, though. I do because
I'm in receipt of your. I'm in receipt of your photograph.
I'll be like, what exactly did you think my reaction would be to this?
Yeah, get that looked at,
and then they'll be like, oh, like I think they expect.
I'm worried
outrage.
about that mole.
This is for your safety that I'm answering you.
Yeah.
I think they expect outrage. So the times that I'll go, hey, dude, I need you to tell me exactly what you were thinking when you sent this to a total stranger. And then they'll go like, oh, I don't know. You know, where I'm like, I don't, what? It's just the weirdest reaction to a person on TV telling jokes. Like, that's what I was doing. I was on TV telling jokes.
I wonder if Milton Berle got any, like, photos of women's vaginas telexed to him in the 40s.
Telegrams. Here's my vagina. Stop. Take a good look. Stop. Yeah.
As ever.
Yes. That's what's so fascinating. I'm like, you are sending this in response to me telling jokes.
I'm too old to understand how it became a standard thing. But there's all sorts of crazy stuff going on. Did you know that I was talking to my friend Matt Weinhold, who is on this very podcast.
Right.
He worked for Playboy, and I was at his birthday dinner, and I was talking to some producers from Playboy. He works on the TV side
Oh, okay.
of Playboy Enterprises. Not creepy. Their job is to force women at gunpoint to go have sex with Hugh Hefner. First, they get them aroused by getting them drunk and making them watch Tales of the Crypt, and then going, would you like to have sex with that guy?
Listen, you joke, but I think we've talked. I feel like I always repeat myself when I'm on your podcast, but I did read a book by an
I want to read that book. We did not talk about that, but
Okay.
I want to read that book. You have to tell me the name of that book
I
because
wish I could remember.
I'm sure I can find it.
It's so bad. It's
it's so
poorly
awesome.
written.
Well, of course, but it's also what I can only describe whatever is going on at the Playboy Mansion right now. I can only describe as gothic.
Yeah. Oh, dude, you don't even know. And
Yeah.
you have to read this book because
And
I always
Baroque.
thought it was for show. Like naively, especially at the peak of, when that Girls Next Door TV show was on E.
Yeah.
And he had like his 3 girlfriends.
Yeah.
I 100% naive.
Original title, Sad and Sadder.
Yeah, because when I found out that they actually fuck him, I mean, that was the day I lost all innocence. And it was in that book. And that lady, it wasn't one of those ladies.
lost all innocence.
It was like, there's nothing.
Very exciting sexual adventures.
Dude, the steps that all those women have to go through, it is this super theatrical. It's like it's 2 nights a week they got to bone them. Literally. It's like they're like, okay, we know every Tuesday and Thursday is like boning night. They all have to wear matching pajamas. He watches gay porn to get hard. So they all like watch gay porn.
Really?
Yes. And then they all take turns doing him.
He watches lesbian porn
No,
or dudes?
dudes.
Oh, that's interesting.
You're going to, I shouldn't, they use like cooking oil as lube.
Oh, so it smells like popcorn. It's like going to the movies.
And they don't use protection.
Oh, what are they going to get? What are they going to get from him? The plague? I mean, what old is like bubonic
Dana,
plague?
get ready to eat your delicious words. Because there's a section in the book about how they all have to take turns sitting it out like every so often because they get yeast infections regularly.
Oh, because
Because they're like taking turns on that old pole.
Right.
No protection.
Yeah.
They're just trading each other's.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great.
Dude.
I see what you're saying. It's not what he can give them. It's what they can give each other by being on the same saddle.
Just unhygienic.
Yeah, it's the Pony Express, basically.
The book is the gnarliest thing I've ever read in my entire life.
Oh, Lord.
Yep.
What a wonderful world.
When it comes to understanding what made Star Wars great, he got it all wrong. Everybody else got it right. He surrounded himself with the Marshalls and everyone else.
I did talk to someone who worked at Lucasfilm during the new movies. Mm-hmm. And when the design for Jar Jar Binks came in, everyone hated it. And it was common knowledge that if you criticized it, you could pack up your desk. So that's the problem.
Sounds familiar.
When you stop listening, it sounds like where have we seen that recently? And it was it's just one of those things. Once you shut yourself off, like there's a rumor, and it's probably true. There are these famous couples, like Peter Bogdanovich was married or living with this very famous producer woman named Polly Platt.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And Polly Platt was this brilliant producer, and when they were together, he made The Last Picture Show and What's Up Doc is his best film. And then he made The Last Picture Show, and on the set of The Last Picture Show, he met and fell in love with Sybil Shepherd, who was then, I think, 21 years old, 22 years old.
Yeah.
And he left Polly Platt for Sybil Shepherd. And as soon as he left Polly Platt, Peter Bogdanovich's, the quality of his output went into Les Toilettes.
Yeah.
Same with George Lucas and his wife, Marcia.
Right.
Marcia Lucas was a very well-known editor, and she gave him boatloads of notes on Star Wars.
Okay.
And she, at one point during the editing of Star Wars, she went down to Los Angeles to, I believe, work on Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore for Martin Scorsese, which later became the TV series Alice, which is weird.
Different.
People never realize that Alice is from a Martin Scorsese movie.
Yeah. And the movie's
That you should see, Mel, what a gun will do to a woman's pussy. That you should see, Mel.
And the
Oh,
movie's
shoot my
not
grits.
It's not funny either, right? The movie's not like
No, it's a very 70s dramedy, slice of life movie.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
great. It's actually a great movie. It's like like one of those movies like WUSA and Baghdad Cafe that
Right.
just tells you it's a movie you could not make today unless it was about Iron
TV show.
unless it was about Iron Man living in a small town.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Keep talking.
But long story longer, Marcia Lucas goes down to LA to work on Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. I might have that movie wrong, but this is how I recall it. And George Lucas is up in Marin and he does a pass on Star Wars and cuts out the Force. And Marcia came back and he showed it to her and she was like, "Where's the Force?"
I didn't think it was working.
And so she's like, "Get the fuck out." And it was basically like, get the old cut, put it in here, and now we'll work from that. Like sometimes people don't know what they're good at.
Right.
And that's my point.
I
don't think he knows.
I have a tremendous respect for Lucas. I have a very long bit in my act about it, but I can also
God bless you.
He's made, as I say in the bit, he gave you Indiana Jones, you ungrateful cocksucker.
Yeah, that's very true.
For the love of, show some respect, please.
Yeah.
So, but my point is, but I mean, here's my question for you, and I don't say this to press your nerd interest buttons. You're a huge Planet of the Apes fan.
Yeah.
You clearly must recognize the flaws in the later films of that series.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you enjoy it because it has a bit more of a kitsch factor?
Well, I love them for different reasons. I love the fact that one of the biggest elements in Battle for the Planet of the Apes is a school bus. Like literally, what do we got? A school bus. Throw it at them. Let them go.
They are dangerous.
Yeah, they are dangerous. They can kill you. Yeah, no, there's diminishing returns, but you know, it's like hating your cousin. I mean, the Planet of the Apes is, for me, it's macaroni and cheese. It's comfort food. I just put it on and I feel better.
I think
and
that's
it's
how
such
I am
an
with-
intrinsic part of my
That's
adolescence.
how I'm with Star Wars.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. Like, but I will admit, of the original 5 movies, in my opinion, there are 2 good movies. One crazy episode of Love American Style, and then Battle and Beneath, which I love because they're all like my warped mutant children. Not that my children.
I
are
say
warped mutant.
4.
You don't like Beneath? You think that's one of the bad ones?
Yes,
I think we talked about
No,
Beneath.
I love Beneath.
I love it.
I think it's
okay. Look,
crazy.
All right.
And
I love it. I love it.
Uh-huh.
I have the Alpha Omega bomb in my office on the
shit.
bookshelf.
The
But-
actual, like a replica, you
A
mean?
toy for the adult.
Because you,
a flashlight.
because you had,
I reveal my inmost self unto my God. Oh boy, 11 people are laughing really loud right now, and everybody else is going over to my favorite murder. But it's like it's beneath. I wouldn't say to somebody, you got to watch this one. This
Sure,
will tell
sure.
you what it is.
Yeah.
It's like the Bond movies. It's like, yeah, there's not a Bond movie I don't love, but there's some that are clearly much better than others. Beneath is really dark. It's fucking insane. I mean, I think I did a middle piece about Beneath just because by the end of it, you've logically gotten to it's Beneath is really like an episode of Rick and Morty. It's like by the end of it, it's like, how the fuck did we get here? We're inside a world, inside a car battery. Yeah. All right. How did we get here? And then you backwards mask and it all works perfectly.
it's got one of Beneath. Beneath has one of my favorite setting the tone pieces or whatever, or devices that I've ever seen in a movie that just goes, this is how this is going to go. Because within the first 5 minutes of this continuation of this sci-fi masterpiece, a wall of fire comes out of the ground for no reason. Yeah. And you're like, what the fuck was that? And then from there, it's just like, here we go.
Well,
that was the first hill on the roller coaster.
And a rescue ship manages to find the place where Taylor landed like a week later.
Yeah. It's all
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Guy looks exactly like Taylor.
Yeah. It's all, yeah.
It's the best way to find him. We'll
Yeah.
find someone who looks as close
No,
to
well,
him
that
as
was the whole
possible.
thing. I mean, that movie was made. That's a great example of successful movie product. And it's like, we need a big shock because the first one had a big shock. Wall of fire. Great. We'll figure it out later. It's
Now,
like
what-
Jaws 2.
But
Look at the shark.
I will
Great.
watching, because I watched those movies, actually giving away my age, I saw Planet of the Apes in the theater.
For a nickel.
I got some free china
Wait, you
on
saw
the
which one in the theater?
Planet of the Apes.
Not in 68.
Yeah.
Then you were 3.
I was 3 years old. I have like a fever dream memory of it.
My first memory is Star Wars in the theater. And I was 3.
You're like, what?
Or 4.
What happened?
Yeah.
And I remember the Dodge Bing stuff, but then I saw Beneath on TV, and I remember by the end of Beneath, that thing affected me for years.
Oh yeah, when
afterwards.
pulling those masks off is
Yeah.
really is still like I wouldn't show my daughter Beneath the Planet of the Apes. It's really
Right.
fucked up.
So you're worshiping
It's
a
crazy.
bomb. It's
Yeah.
the end of the world.
Yeah.
You've got, then you've got
here's how it
Ursus.
and here's where it gets weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he finds humans that you somehow are more villainous than the apes. You know what I mean? And like, it's just crazy.
That was quite brilliant.
And-
Yeah.
and the-
No, I mean, I'm saying it's great. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's pulling you in a lot of different directions.
I
And
know
the
it's crazy.
subtleties of
No pun intended. It's bananas.
It is
It's
bananas.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's one of those great 70s dystopian movies where, it's just like everything was so bleak and depressing.
Yeah.
And I
what
think
do you-
that will happen again. The 70s, in the early 70s, all science fiction movies were bleak and dystopian because there was no hope in the world. We were in Vietnam. We had a corrupt, crazy, paranoid president. The culture was radically divided. And people felt hopeless. I'm assuming that will now happen again.
There are some movies that end that way now. They're more, the ones that I've seen are more, independent. But mainstream, I don't know.
Here's why I don't think it'll happen again. Science fiction has got to be the most expensive genre, right, to make. So much has to go into it effects-wise and everything now, which means you're beholden to Warner Brothers or whatever studio. And I just don't think... It seems like everything now, sci-fi wise, and it might change, but it's a bummer to me. Everything sci-fi now is about teenagers in some sort of a classroom in space. Do you know what I mean? And then there's a famous person there doing something terrible to them. This time it's Tom Hanks.
And it's 3 movies.
The Circle got 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm like, it's the fucking girl from the Harry Potter movies. And Beauty and the Beast, which just broke every movie record ever, which I didn't want to see it. But my point is like, how the fuck is she in a 13% movie right now? You're not talking about Zac Efron. She seems like
Right.
a pretty smart person. She's a good actor. But it's because I feel like they don't take any real chances with these science fiction films. Like,
I think that is a really good point. The
It's
idea
also
that,
you can have you sometimes you don't know if it's going to be great or not. I was on this series called Mob City.
Right,
which,
yeah.
When we were doing it, I was like, this is going to be the greatest thing on television. This is
Right.
and it was great. It was very critically acclaimed, but just didn't strike anybody's interest. It was
what was the one that came out with Harrison Ford? I know it's not
I know what
Logan's
you're talking
Run, but
about.
I've got that.
Yeah,
I've
it's
got
the
Logan's
same thing.
Indiana Jones?
Ender's Game.
Yeah.
Bender's Game
It
or
had an
Ender's
E-
Game?
it's vendor machine, vending machine.
Ender's. Oh, that's right. Because that's why that's why
yeah,
the
Orson
future.
Scott Card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just realized this. That's why the Futurama thing was called Bender's Game. I never understood
Okay.
why it was called that.
yeah.
It's because of Ender's
Yeah.
Game. Jesus Christ.
That's Futurama in a nutshell. 7 years later, you realize why you didn't laugh at that joke.
Yeah. It's,
Oh my God, that's the 15th extrapolation of pi. Clever, hilarious.
I don't have anything to say about
I
the
think
movie.
downbeat is a risk. And so if you're going to end something downbeat, yeah, I think that makes people nervous.
I don't know. Well, I think the new Planet of the Apes movies are great, and they're great examples of every Planet of the Apes movie. The ending is you find out that the world you love has been blown up. Then they really blow it up. Then in the most downbeat ending, an Escape from the Planet of the Apes, the 2 characters you love and their baby all get shot. There's a long, loving shot of a baby chimp getting repeatedly blown apart.
Yeah.
Then Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, let's bash in some people's heads with rifle butts.
That they had to change.
Yeah. And then in battle, it's a crying statue.
The thing I'm confused about with this latest one, I didn't like.
They're all perfect. Next subject.
I didn't like.
Oh, hang on. The guy that likes Revenge of the Sith is going to criticize Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Okay, no, Joe, go ahead.
No, I'm not going to criticize it.
No, I'm teasing
Don't
you.
get
I'm teasing you.
I
I'm
know.
teasing you.
I didn't like Rise because it was too back in the origin story. It was like, I'm here to see some talking apes. We're
Yeah,
not getting a lot of
exactly.
time. This is too much regular monkey
Yeah, you don't want to
shit.
see a tiny chimp in clothing do acrobatics in his room.
So I didn't like Rise. Only it was well made, but whatever. I really loved Dawn. I thought Dawn was fucking phenomenal, and I'm excited about the new one But it's kind of what you just said. I'm kind of watching the trailer for the new one, and I'm like, wasn't this what the last movie was? Like, the last movie was like Gary Oldman being like, we've got to fight these goddamn apes. This is it. It's our the humans were living in squalor and shit.
Yeah,
I don't.
I've been purposely like, I don't want to know too much about it, but basically in this one, the apes are fucked. That's the whole.
They're fucked.
They're fucked.
Oh, so they're the underdogs in this one.
Yeah.
Okay, because they were kind of the overdogs in Dawn.
Yeah.
But I would also say, though, that in this day and age, right now, you couldn't have an ending like Beneath. You couldn't end the world.
No.
And then, all right, credits roll.
Yeah.
Well, you could, but only if you were setting up some other fucking trilogy that was coming out where it's like, well, now we're going to go back in time and do
I
this.
will say this about Beneath the Planet of the Apes. After the world blows up, and same in Planet of the Apes, I think it's same in all of them, the credits come up and it's just silent.
Well, except for Paul Frees at the end of
Right, but
Beneath.
then there's no music. It's just a silent crawl. If you played yakety sax, it would be, and suddenly it would be so much better.
And at the end of
Something by Survivor.
That's fun. At the end of the second one, I'm forgetting. You don't know, do you or do you not know that
You don't.
they go back in time?
You don't.
No.
You don't. So
that was genius.
It was genius. I think to me, it's one of the most brilliant. What's that called? When it goes full circle. You guys are much more well read and have better vocabularies. What's that called? When something
Alpha Omega?
The something in the future, they go into the past to try to prevent the future, but then the past makes the future
I think that's
happen.
what it's called.
Yeah. One of those future past thingies.
Future Circle.
Yeah. By the way, this season of Stand Against Evil is all about that, and it's a real motherfucker to write.
Yeah, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait
a minute. Wouldn't there be 3 of him at this point? Shut the fuck up. That's how many of him there are. Shut up.
How come Biff is running a casino in the town? Shut up.
Okay. By the way. Okay. All right. There are certain things that you see that we have seen that you like. Oh, you could never do that nowadays.
Right.
I was thinking that. Remember on Saturday Night Live when it first came out, Buck Henry used to host a lot, and one of his recurring sketches was a pedophile uncle babysitter.
Yes.
That would make the girls like lift up their dresses, and he would take pictures of them.
Slide
in their
down the
underwear.
banister.
Yeah. Back then it was like, ha 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 ha. Nowadays you look at it and it's awful. You couldn't in a million years.
The most famous joke from Airplane, and it is the funniest joke, is the pilot going, have you ever seen a grown man naked?
Yeah,
You're like, I think he's trying to have sex with this.
Yeah. You couldn't.
Oh, so that's what that was about.
Yeah, it's like
Futurama here.
yeah.
They leave it just vague enough that you're like, well, maybe he's just inappropriately trying to teach the kid about anatomy or something. But my point is like that's a famous joke from that movie.
Yeah. I was there for this to happen. The show The Comedians with Billy Crystal and Josh Gad.
Right.
Okay.
The last joke in the pilot was Steven Weber's character showed up having gone through gender transition.
Okay.
And that he's a girl now.
Oh, yeah.
And between filming it and airing it, you could no longer do that joke.
Really?
Yeah. They called that joke in between the filming and airing of that episode.
Yeah.
And they're doing Twin Peaks again. It was so funny. I was driving down Pico Boulevard. And there's two billboards for things that are coming out: Twin Peaks and Alien.
Yeah. Yeah.
New stuff.
Yeah.
And David Duchovny plays a female FBI agent that used to be a guy, and it's like ha ha ha. It was really funny in 1990. You can't laugh at it
I
anymore.
had a bit where about transvestites. Can't say that anymore.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. It's
Now they're called hi, how do you do's. Yeah, what was your
I'll
joke
keep that
about?
in mind.
What was your joke about transvestites?
Oh, it was like they freak me out because it's like you don't know what you're getting. It's like biting into a chocolate and finding beef.
That's a
That's funny.
Yeah,
You could still do that.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
I would have to say transgender or something.
I guess. Well, there was a great joke. I don't know who it was. It was a comedian I saw in Austin, Texas, and he said, the problem is we got rid of bullying, and there's 8 genders now. If we brought bullying back, all these guys would pick a team and we'd be done. It is where we may be looking at the last generation that views gender as a binary choice.
I wonder if that. Yeah.
That's why Hillary lost.
I completely derailed you talking about Matt, though.
No, it's quite all right.
Working
But this is
Playboy.
what I learned, that this generation of kids, because of phones and stuff, they see porn at such an early age now that young men think that what they see in porn is how you do it.
Yes.
And there are now PSAs that these people at Playboy are making where literally porn stars will go, "Hi, I'm so-and-so. In reality, don't choke your girlfriend. This is pretend."
No.
Yeah, like literally, because guys think
Those are ads that air on like YouTube videos
wherever these people go. Because kids, it's like, well, this is what I saw.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up reading Playboy in the 70s, so I just
Right.
thought, you meet a woman, you talk about quadraphonic stereos.
Yes, and wine. What wine pairs with
20
whatever.
questions with Lee Marvin.
Yes. Totally.
We discussed the latest Joyce Carol Oates novella
Right. Which, in a way, when you look back, you're like, isn't that kind of rad?
and a long interview with Joe Namath.
Right. That's the ideal compared to hey, please don't choke out a woman with your dick.
Yeah,
On
exactly.
the second date.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Your dick is not a truncheon in a riot.
That's the biggest bummer to me. And look, whatever. We're both single adults here. Of course, we watch porn. And I get so bummed about how much porn seems to be based
Speak
on
for
it.
yourself. I don't watch it. I am it.
How much?
I've watched so much. It's like Altered States. I've become one with it.
Well, that's the thing is that so much of it to me seems like it's based on a dare where I'm like, what happened to just here's two people making, I almost said making love. You should kick me out of your house.
Making love.
And then I almost said making sex, like I'm Borat or something. That's how long it's been.
Making choky
That's
love.
how long it's been since I've done it. I don't remember what it's called.
Making choky love.
But they are, it's so many videos where it's why can't it just be here's two people enjoying each other? It's always cheerleader chokes on 9 dicks at once. Or I'm like, who wants this? Who wants this?
At a certain point, it just becomes anatomical Olympic exhibitions.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is am I on GuinnessBook.com? What are you doing?
Welcome to another episode of How Low Can You Go?
Yes. And then it's do I need to feel even grosser?
But there is that weird thing that it's just this weird thing with human beings when it comes to that sort of impulse is that you can always check one other thing. It's you're worried, I like to look at some boobs. Hey, 6 boobs would be great.
Right.
And then 4 hours later, it's 2 sailors fucking a squid. How did I get here?
Although I will say, I do love the title. All the titles are grammatically incorrect and weird, and the choices of words are weird. And one of my favorites is I was looking on a porn site. One of the videos was called I don't remember the lady's name. It was Jane. It was Jane becomes fucked. That was the title of it. She becomes fucked. What is that's the weirdest verb tense.
Bespoke fuckery.
Yeah, I love that.
Have you found that dating people, has that really changed with the advent of apps?
Well, truthfully, I've gone on one Tinder date. And the only time I'm not a casual dater. I find myself almost immediately in long-term relationships.
Yeah, I'm the same exact way. I can't just date people. I was no, we're going out now.
Right. And I've tried. It's definitely, that's the thing I'm trying to force. It feels like an adult.
And there are some people that are the opposite, that only do that.
Right. And I'm envious of that. It feels like an adult experience I've never had and I go for years in between relationships. It's not even back to back. When I got divorced, I didn't go on a date for 2 years because I was so sad and it felt like a huge failure and it felt like this weird.
Well, it is.
Then I dated this guy for a couple years and then when we broke up, I waited a while. My most recent ex-boyfriend and I broke up 2.5 years ago. And in those 2.5 years, I've gone on 3 dates. 3 dates. That's it. Because I also need to stop.
3 different people or one dude 3 times?
3 different people. And one of those was a Tinder date. The other 2 guys were just dudes I knew.
Oh, you told me about the Tinder date.
Yeah, and it was just like, he was perfectly nice. It was just like,
oh no,
boring.
who was the guy that you ended up yelling at?
Oh, no. That was not Tinder. That was a guy. Dave Holmes had a Christmas party, and I just went up to this guy and was like, hey, you're hot. Do you want my phone number? That's how I've approached every dude. The other
amazing.
dude I went on a date with, same thing.
And then he turns around and it's the Pope. Yes, I do.
No, the dude before him that I went on a date with, I had heard him on a bunch of podcasts, and he was really funny. So I just sent him a DM and was like, I just listened to you on a bunch of podcasts. Here's my phone number. Will you please go out with me? And he was like, yeah, all right. I have no patience. And I lack the ability to be coy in any way.
Yeah.
Which is also
See,
kind of...
I'm just the opposite.
Really?
I'm in the sense that I immediately think if I look at a woman and she sees me looking at her, that she thinks I'm going to rape her. and I'm like, sorry. I was looking at the chip bowl and I would never ask you out. I respect you far too much.
Which is probably better. Fairbanks...
Well, it leads you to watching a lot of Perry Mason with your cat.
I'm sure there's a happy medium, but that's... Honestly, I'm envious of that, because Fairbanks, my friend and previous guest on your podcast, also Chris Fairbanks, who's one of my closest friends in the whole world, lectures me all the time. Because he's always like, you have to stop doing that. He's like, I'm a man. I'm telling you what dudes are into. You have to stop being that aggressive. And I'm just like, I don't know how to not.
Uh-huh.
And it is.
By the way, that's a title of something. I don't know how to not.
I truly don't. And the weirdest part.
I don't know how to not.
That aggression.
Said Manson.
It is a pathological.
As they let him off.
It's hard to describe because, I mean, I guess I am aggressive and impatient, but it comes from a lifetime of being seen as just one of the dudes. It truly does. So to me, I don't know how to be coy or to play any games, because to me, that's never worked. Because if I ever was just trying to hang out, I would automatically be considered one of the guys. So in my head, even as a grown woman, I have to be aggressively like, no. I want to date you. You need to know that I'm not like a dude. You need to know that I'm here to date you and not be your friend. Right. And I feel like if I'm not overtly saying that in a guy's face from jump, they're just going to be like, hey, it's my new poker buddy, April. And I'm like, no. I'm trying to date you.
Like after 30, it's, I have all the friends I need.
Right.
Let's be, I'm all friended up. I don't need to make
definitely
new friends.
getting to that point in my life where when that's what happened with those dates.
No, I don't. You want to be friends? No. And you have to say it like Don Knotts. No, I don't.
I'm definitely getting to that point.
No, I'm kind of good on the friends.
Yeah.
It's a tricky thing, but it's funny. We have different.
We need to give each other tips, because I feel like right in the middle of our approaches is where we should be.
Yeah. But then I'd have to go meet people somewhere. I don't even know where to do that.
Are you on any apps?
None. I'm on eBay. I buy a lot of old
A+ fast shipping would do business with again.
Well, I don't know about fast shipping.
Yes, sir. May I help you?
I'd like 2 of those, please.
Hot dogs? Yes, sir.
And 3 of those. And 1 of those. And 5 bars of these. And a cup of that nice hot liquid.
Coffee. Coming right up.
Oh, and 2 bags of those peculiar white puffy material.
You mean our crunchy popcorn? Shall I wrap that for you, sir?
Oh, that's all right. My saucer's just outside.
They come from miles to enjoy our intermission.
Casper is an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the average price. Casper is revolutionizing the mattress industry by cutting the cost of dealing with resellers and showrooms and passing that savings directly to the consumer. Designed, developed, and assembled in the USA, Casper is an obsessively engineered mattress at a shockingly fair price. With over 20,000 reviews and an average of 4.8 stars, it's quickly becoming the internet's favorite mattress. It combines memory foams to create an award-winning sleep surface with just the right sink and just the right bounce. And all Casper mattresses are made in America. An award-winning mattress that won't disappoint. Try Casper for 100 nights, risk-free in your own home. If you don't love it, they'll pick it up and refund you everything. Free shipping and returns to the U.S. and Canada. Get $50 towards any mattress purchase by visiting Casper.com/Dana and using the promo code Dana. It all started in 1914 with the assassination of the Archduke Ferdinand. This set into action a series of events that came to be known as World War I, the after effects of which would set into action a chain of events known as World War II. It was during World War II that a young British naval intelligence officer named Ian Fleming began working on espionage and counterintelligence operations to assist the Allies in defeating Nazi Germany, or as they pronounced it, Nazi Germany. Following the war, Ian Fleming, writing from Goldeneye, his summer home in Jamaica, inspired by his war service, began a series of fantastical novels based on the adventures of a fictional British secret agent navigating the currents and eddies of the then very real and very dangerous Cold War. He needed a name for his agent and wanted something simple and bland, something that would not draw attention to itself and assist this spy in his spycraft. Fleming took the name of the author of a book he had lying around his house, Birds of the West Indies, by ornithologist James Bond. The first Bond novel, Casino Royale, appeared in 1952 and was a runaway hit. The series continued the following year with Live and Let Die, my personal favorite Bond novel, and a much more brutal affair than the film. The books gained international blockbuster notoriety when, in a candid interview, President John F. Kennedy put Fleming's From Russia with Love on his list of favorite reads. The first James Bond film, Dr. No, appeared in 1962, launching the career of a then-unknown Scottish actor named Sean Connery. And the rest is history. A history we will certainly go through one day in this very space, but we, in fact, are telling a much different story. Dr. No was followed in 1963 by From Russia with Love, but it wasn't until the following year, with 1964's Goldfinger, that the Bond craze really took off. And for good reason. Goldfinger is the perfect James Bond film, and it finally established the formula and tone for which every subsequent Bond movie would adhere. For better, and sometimes, are you listening, Octopussy? For worse. It also launched what became known as the spy craze. In the mid-1960s, spies were the thing. Several film series were launched to cash in on Bond's success. Dean Martin starred in a series of films based on secret agent Matt Helm. James Coburn played secret agent Derek Flint in Our Man Flint and its sequel, In Like Flint. Those movies, by the way, are as much an influence on Austin Powers as the Bond films are. And if you love the Austin Powers films, and as well you should check those out. On television from England came Patrick McGowan's Secret Agent. What followed Secret Agent was Patrick McGowan's amazing The Prisoner. Future James Bond Roger Moore starred in The Saint. There was also the superlative The Avengers, starring Patrick McNee, and the superlatively superlative Diana Rigg, who followed Goldfinger Bond girl Honor Blackman. And Rigg herself would later go on to become a Bond girl in the George Lazenby starring Testament to Bad Casting on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Around this time, TV producer Norman Felton was looking around for a spy show. And in the true spirit of, if you want an apple, go to the tree, he approached Ian Fleming to see if he had any ideas. And Ian Fleming did. What came from this was a TV series originally entitled Ian Fleming's Solo, which told the Bondian adventures of an American secret agent named Napoleon Solo. I'm telling you, no one can come up with names or titles like goddamned Ian Fleming. Napoleon Solo's original partner was a female agent named April Dancer. That character was removed, and the show changed its title to The Man from U.N.C.L.E. In the series, Solo worked side by side with a Russian agent named Ilya Kuryakin, played by David McCallum. The show was a massive hit. So much so that it soon had its own spin-off, The Girl from U.N.C.L.E., with a young, pre-heart-to-heart Stephanie Powers finally giving life to Fleming's female agent, April Dancer. Fun fact, among the writers who penned episodes of The Man from U.N.C.L.E., you'll find names like Robert Towne and Harlan Ellison. Now, you have to remember that around this time, there were only 3 television networks, as opposed to our current 3,000. In the 1960s and up through the birth of Fox in 1986, there was only ABC, NBC, and CBS. In order of rating success, it was CBS, NBC, and then way behind that, ABC. Around this time, a producer named Ed Graham optioned the rights to the comic strip Batman, which was created in 1939 for Detective Comics by Bill Kane and, uncredited for decades, a guy named Bill Finger. Graham was in negotiations with CBS to produce Batman as, to use his words, a live-action, Saturday morning kiddie adventure show, like The Lone Ranger and The Adventures of Superman with George Reeves. But this got the ear of an ABC executive in New York named Yale Yudof, who oddly was not named by Ian Fleming. Yudof wanted his own Man from U.N.C.L.E., which was on NBC. Yudof loved Batman comics since he was a kid, and he let it be known that he was very interested in the Batman title. Fun fact, one of the ABC executives working under Yudof was a guy named Harvey Bennett, who would go on to produce Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, all the way up through Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, basically replacing Gene Roddenberry and in large part saving the film series after the lackluster Star Trek The Motion Picture, but again, another story for another time. But watch this space. Ed Graham's Batman negotiations with CBS hit a snag, and DC moved fast, reacquiring their rights and selling them to Yale Yudof at ABC. Enter William Dozier, the producer who was assigned to develop the series. Dozier first hired Eric Ambler, a popular espionage writer, to write the pilot. Let's say that word again because I love it so much. Espionage. The original idea was to make a hip, fun, but still serious hour-long action show, ABC's version of The Man from U.N.C.L.E. But Dozier didn't read comic books, and after acquainting himself with the Batman strip, felt the show could be hip, felt the show could be fun, but didn't see any way to make it actually serious. This, remember, was 1965, and we were still decades away from Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns reboot. Dozier then turned to writer Lorenzo Semple Jr. What Dozier and Semple created was years and years ahead of its time. Under their stewardship, a would-be superhero version of The Man from U.N.C.L.E. became a totally hilarious deadpan satire. Police Squad and the Naked Gun, years before Police Squad and the Naked Gun. More Dr. Strangelove than The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Dozier would go on to describe the show quite accurately as the only sitcom on TV without a laugh track.
You all right, Robin?
Holy molars. Am I ever glad I take good care of my teeth?
True. You owe your life to dental hygiene.
Fun fact number 3. Lorenzo Semple Jr. is the father of novelist Maria Semple, who was the partner of Simpsons writer George Meyer, who helped me get the job that paid for the house that I'm recording in now. 2 actors tested to play the lead in Batman. Lyle Wagner, who would go on to star on The Carol Burnett Show, and, fun fact, after that, started a luxury trailer company called Star Wagons, which are ubiquitous on movie sets. and a lantern-jawed young actor named Adam West, who caught Dozier's eye at the time, starring as the unflappable Agent Q in a popular TV commercial for Nestle's Quick.
Ah, Captain Q, join me in a glass of delicious chocolate quick, won't you?
Thank you, Doctor. I could use some energy.
West was cast alongside a young actor named Burt Ward as his sidekick Robin, and a pop cultural landmark was born. To promote the show, Dozier had a very interesting idea. To drum up interest in the TV series, they would first make a movie. That's right, they would make a feature-length film of their campy Batman first, and that would be playing in theaters as they shot the show's first season. But the film studio, 20th Century Fox, balked because they would have to pay for the full cost of the movie, whereas they split the cost of the show. The show was originally intended to be like The Man from U.N.C.L.E., an hour long, but ABC, desperate for a hit, moved its premiere up from the fall of 1966 to January of 1966. But at that time, they only had 2 half-hour slots open on their schedule on different nights. So they cut Batman in half. Instead of airing the full hour, they aired it on 2 consecutive nights in 2 half-hour slots. This is why the episodes always ended in a cliffhanger. And each one was narrated in that breathless, Saturday morning serial-like style by the show's producer, William Dozier.
You think Gotham City is a peaceful city? Ho, ho, ho! Put your gum under your seats, hold your breath, and get ready to cheer Batman and hiss his diabolical enemies.
Dozier said he was mimicking Walter Winchell's hyped-up narration from The Untouchables.
In 1934, Prohibition had been repealed, and the Capone mob, without its leader, serving time at Alcatraz prison, was desperate for new sources of revenue.
Batman, starring Adam West from the Nestle's Quick commercials, premiered in January of 1966 and became an instant sensation. So much so that the show's studio, 20th Century Fox, immediately said, "Hey guys, what about a movie? You know, the one we said no to? Why aren't we doing it?" And so, after season 1 of Batman wrapped, they went directly into production on the movie, which premiered in theaters 2 short months after the first season's last episode aired, at the same time as the cast and crew was already back at work writing and filming season 2. As Terrell said to Roy Batty, "The light that burns half as long burns twice as bright." And as season 2 of Batman drew to a close, ratings were starting to sag. For season 3, the show was reduced to a mere 1 episode a week, and the character of Batgirl, in real life Commissioner Gordon's daughter, and in actual real life actress Yvonne Craig, who would go on to portray the green-skinned Orion slave girl in the 3rd season Star Trek episode Whom Gods Destroy, and who had previously appeared on The Man from U.N.C.L.E. as well as a couple of Elvis movies. After season 3 concluded, ABC announced that they were canceling the show. But wait! Is this the end of the dynamic duo? It almost wasn't. NBC announced that they would pick Batman up for season 4, but soon learned that 20th Century Fox had destroyed all of Batman's sets, including the super expensive Batcave. Staring down the barrel of hundreds of thousands of unexpected cost dollars in set reconstruction, NBC rescinded the offer. Batman went almost immediately into syndication, where it was discovered by kids like me, who at the time, of course, never really appreciated how deadpan hilarious it was. It basically became the kiddie adventure show Ed Graham had always envisioned. Adam West suffered a brutal case of typecasting, making a living by personal appearances alongside the original Batmobile at car shows, posing for photos and signing autographs. In 1989, when Warner Brothers announced Tim Burton's version of the movie, Adam West mentioned in an interview that he'd like to play the title character, a comment for which he was roundly and rudely criticized. By now, Frank Miller's Dark Knight graphic novel had transformed Batman into the dark and fucked up vigilante we know him as today. And West's depiction was an unwelcome relic from a bygone era. The idea of West reprising the role made Batman fans apeshit with fury. And when Tim Burton then cast Michael Keaton, who is then known for his comedy roles in Night Shift and Beetlejuice, Batman fans went apeshit with fury. But Adam West kept his head down, never went away, and never stopped working. And eventually, the generation of kids who understood how brilliant the original show was grew up and became comedy writers. And like Leslie Nielsen, Adam West had a fantastic renaissance playing, basically, Adam West. Known mostly for his role as the mayor on Family Guy, I would also advise everyone listening to this podcast to go to YouTube and watch Look Well, a half-hour comedy pilot made in 1991 by two then largely unknown Saturday Night Live staff writers named Robert Smigel and Conan O'Brien. A half-hour deadpan piece of brilliance in which West plays retired TV actor Ty Lookwell, who used to play a detective on TV and now thinks of himself as one in real life. That's all I'm going to tell you about it, but it's on YouTube, it's a half an hour, and it's brilliant. Sadly, as we all know, Adam recently passed and went to the great Batcave in the sky. I, obviously, loved him and had the good pleasure of working with him on two occasions. One on The Simpsons and one on a show I did with Rob Cohen called Super Adventure Team. For those of you who've never seen Super Adventure Team, you might want to watch the film Team America, which came out a little bit after it. I can assure you from first-hand experience, Adam West was a smart, hilarious, charming, and effortlessly graceful gentleman who brought out the best in everyone around him. And I will share one brief story as an example of his talent. He was guesting on The Simpsons, voicing himself as Batman from an old episode in which Krusty the Clown was the villain. He was recording his dialogue, and we had reached the end, and all we needed was what we called wild lines. We said, "Adam, Krusty has tied you up, so we need some grunts, like you're struggling in vain." Adam said great, and we rolled tape, but instead of grunting, he went,
"Struggling in vain?"
And we all got the chills. Hey, one last fun fact before we start hawking merch. The next time you watch the original Planet of the Apes, also made by 20th Century Fox, right around the same time as Batman, when they come out of the opening credits and the ship is making its descent into the giant lake in the middle of the desert, make note of the roar of its engines. That sound was taken from the 20th Century Fox sound library, and it is the roar of the Batmobile, tearing out of stately Wayne Manor. Great story if it ends there, right? Well, it does, but it doesn't have to for you. Why not pick up a copy of the new large-format tribute book to the Batman series, or Adam West's excellent and entertaining biography, Back to the Batcave, or pick up the entire series, now in a deluxe DVD package. Where? Visit the library page at danagould.com, where all these items are featured with easy links. While you're there, you'll see options to donate to the show or subscribe through PayPal. Every cent goes back into the production. Please know we appreciate what, if anything, you can do. And if you can't do anything, please just listen. And that's not all. You can also visit our store at comedyfilmnerds.com for Bevilacqua heating and air conditioning t-shirts, Dana Gould Hour t-shirts, signed vinyl copies of Funhouse, Let Me Put My Thoughts in You, and next month, fucking finally, the vinyl release of I Know It's Wrong. And then in the fall, as I said, my new album, Mr. Funny Man. But enough of my yakking. Back to the show. Old chums.
Beautiful.
What's to eat? What's to drink?
Good food galore.
cares a wink.
Ice cream bars. It's the handy way to enjoy smooth, rich, creamy ice cream. Get some.
Batman and Superman. A deeply traumatized orphan and a guy from outer space whose home planet blowed up real good. As fictional characters, they are as unassailably iconic as American as Sherlock Holmes is British or Tarzan is jungly. And although both Batman and Superman fight crime, stand up for the little guy and represent truth, justice, and all that stuff, their creations, both of them, have a dirty little aspect that doesn't quite square with their image. In fact, in terms of big business towards the little guy, their stories each have a fine example of good old Tennessee horse fucking. Superman was created in 1938 by a young comic writer and artist team, Jerry Siegel and Joel Shuster. They were literally teenagers at the time. To quote comic book eminence Alan Moore, the two Cleveland teenagers had crafted a near-perfect and iconic fantasy which spoke to something deeply rooted in the psyche of working America, propelled to Earth, and more specifically America, from an exploded home world during infancy. The character, like many of his readers or their parents, was an immigrant. I end quote. Superman appeared in National Allied Publications comic book Action Comics, #1, published in June 1938. That company was owned by two gentlemen named Harry Donenfeld and Jack Leibowitz. Superman appeared in Action Comics #1, published in 1938 by Harry Donenfeld and Jack Leibowitz's company National Allied Publications, under the painfully ironic in retrospect title, Superman, Champion of the Oppressed. For the story, Donenfeld and Leibowitz paid Siegel and Shuster $130, along with a short and simple contract that the boys signed without even having a lawyer review it. And for that amount of money, $130, split two ways, all the rights to Superman were sold. As Drew Friedman, a guest on this very podcast 2 episodes ago, wrote in his excellent book, Heroes of the Comics, Siegel and Shuster did oversee the Superman comics and newspaper strips for nearly a decade, and they were paid a decent salary for that. But Donenfeld and Leibowitz grew crazy rich. But let's be honest. We're talking about Superman, the champion of the oppressed. So it would stand to reason that Donenfeld and Leibowitz, who held the rights, would see that their contract was, at the very, very, very least, somewhat usurious, that it took advantage of two naive teenagers who did not even have or retain legal counsel. You would think that they would be open and understanding to the concept of Siegel and Shuster being entitled to even the smallest slice of the ownership pie. After all, they made the pie. And for that, they were told,
"You get nothing! You lose! Good day, sir!"
Okay, then. So in 1946, they asked, politely, if they could be properly compensated for their efforts through a lawyer. And they were told,
"You get nothing!"
So they sued. And they were awarded a modest settlement, less than $100,000. And for that, they lost their byline and abdicated all of the written credit for their creation. While National Allied Publications, which came to be known as DC Comics, made millions. This led to a back-and-forth legal wrangle that went on for years as the two tried desperately to get Donenfeld and Leibowitz's company, the admittedly legal copyright owners of the Champion of the Oppressed, to provide even the slightest shadow of their fair share.
"You get nothing!"
Finally, in 1975, it was announced that Warner Brothers, DC Comics' parent company, was producing a big-budget Superman film. Siegel, now working as a file clerk, and Shuster, practically blind, led another lawsuit that, if only because of the bad publicity for Warner Brothers, led the company to restore their credit and provide them a modest yearly stipend. Modest. One wonders, were the champion of the oppressed to land on this planet today, whose side he would have been on? What would Batman say? Batman! Created by Bob Kane. That's what the comic says. That's what the credit at the beginning of all those movies say. And Batman, who better to stand up for the little guy? The guy who can't take care of himself. Again, I steal shamelessly from Drew Friedman's Heroes of the Comics. After the success of Superman in 1938, National Allied Publications was in search of more, as they were coming to be known then, superheroes. He came up with a loose concept for a character he called the Batman and showed it to a guy named Bill Finger. Bill Finger was a writer who had been hired by Kane. Finger took Kane's design, a man in reddish tights and reddish boots, wearing a Lone Ranger mask and 2 stiff wings like the flying monkeys from The Wizard of Oz. Bill Finger took this design and changed it. Under Bill Finger, the Batman wore a cape instead of wings. He wore a cowl instead of a mask. And he was dressed all in black, not all in red. Finger wrote the first script for Batman comics, where he established that Batman had an alter ego. He was also a millionaire named Bruce Wayne. Over time, Finger created a sidekick for Batman, a young ward named Robin, and an arch nemesis who he based on Conrad Veidt's appearance from the film The Man Who Laughs. Finger called this villain the Joker. Uncredited. All uncredited. Kane had worked out a deal with National Allied Publications, providing him with permanent and sole credit for Batman. This despite his somewhat mitigated level of contribution. Finally, years, decades later, long after Batman's television and movie success, well towards the end of his life, Bob Kane belatedly acknowledged Finger as a, quote, contributing force to the creation of The Dark Knight. Some would say too little too late. But sometimes, when your option is,
so you get nothing,
too little too late is the best you can expect.
And now, on with the show.
Here's how Beneath the Planet of the Apes would end now. They would let you end it with the bomb going off, planet being destroyed. But before the credits rolled, you'd see the apes land in present day on present day Earth.
Yeah, they start the new
yes,
one.
Yeah. So that's what blew me away when I first watched. The first time I saw Beneath the Planet of the Apes was years and years after I'd seen the original. It blew me away how crazy it was. And then
It's crazy.
Yeah, and then I immediately went to watch the third one because this was 2005 I'm talking about. I really waited a long time before I saw it. And then I immediately went to watch the third one. And when I saw what they were doing that third one, I was like, holy shit. They're back. They're going to have the baby that becomes what the fuck?
By the way, absolutely no way they could have done that.
Yeah, that's the one that you really have to make a leap to go along with this story.
Yeah.
That early in Planet of the Apes, when Taylor makes a airplane out of paper and everyone's blown away, cut to Dr. Milo repairing a spaceship.
Yeah, and then Dr. Zaius or Maximus, I'm not sure which guy, picks up he goes, nonsense, and he crumbles it up. You're like, what a fucking dick. That guy's a dick.
Just because you can't make one.
I like in the third movie when apes walking completely upright and just speaking perfect fluent English doesn't destroy the fabric of everybody's understanding of everything.
Well, there's also,
they accept it pretty quickly.
Yeah, and the gorilla in the cage that strangles Milo looks like it was from a Laugh-In sketch. Like
it's a rejected Bob Burns costume.
The shittiest gorilla costume on earth. It's mind-boggling.
You know what's even worse than that is the statue.
Nothing is worse than that.
The statue of the gorilla in the museum is even worse than that. It's like got a cat head or something. It doesn't look anything like a gorilla.
But all these, it's fine.
The worst.
What do you get? It's fine. Yeah, let it in. It's good.
Yeah, we had a bear costume. We'll just coat of paint.
Yeah. Coat of paint. Did either of you see Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yes. I just saw the new one.
Yeah.
I did watch it for my podcast.
Is it good?
I enjoyed it. I have big problems with Marvel, with the movies that Marvel Studios proper is producing. The Sony Marvel stuff, I find much of that more passable or enjoyable. Marvel Studios stuff, I tend to really hate, but I actually like. When Iron Man came out, it was great. It was groundbreaking. You never saw a comic book hero like that. It was fucking brilliant. It was irreverent, all these things. Every single character now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is written exactly like Iron Man. It hit its fucking peak when they had Paul Rudd playing a superhero, which I'm not against Paul Rudd. Go play a superhero. But it's to the point where these are now comedies that have fantastic people in them.
Well, here's
and
where
it's stupid. And every line is interchangeable to the point where they...
Actually, it's funny. Ant-Man is maybe the one that I like. I will paraphrase Sarah Silverman. To me, there's just one Avengers movie.
Right.
It just goes on. I never feel like there's a sense of geography. The camera is never parallel to the floor. And it's just, to paraphrase Sarah Silverman, I feel like it's raping my face.
Okay. Now, you guys are both horribly wrong about all of this. Because the Marvel movies are great. Yeah, there are some that are not so good as others. And the second Avengers movie, Age of Ultron, is a terrible movie. The first one is awesome.
I like the first one. After the first one is when I checked out.
Yeah, but the second one is terrible, but the first one was great.
But unlike you, I grew up in a little town called Vaudeville, USA.
You wanted more grease paint.
When you can do anything, when anything can happen, when you can sneeze a mountain back into the earth or whatever they did in that one movie, it's just like, okay.
Yeah, but the Avengers, though, the first Avengers movie, though, yeah, you can do all these things, but then what made it balanced is the fact that you had these great characters.
But here's where they fucked it up. After the first Avengers movie, which I walked out of going, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Because you had defined characters, they were written differently. Coulson dies. It was great. The next week, they announced the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, and Coulson's coming back.
Oh, that's
And that's
awful.
when I said, fuck you, Marvel. You committed the cardinal sin. Anybody can come back from the dead. Fuck you. It's done. And then after that, every Marvel movie became a comedy. Then I love that the DC stuff started coming out and people were going, it's so dark. Why is Batman so dark? When the fuck was Batman ever not dark? That's the whole point. He's a brooding psychopath.
Well, 1966.
I know.
But I think there's a difference between dark and sucking life out of something.
Yeah, it's not that I don't care about Batman being dark. My complaint about that stuff is, and Mike Lewis with the DC universe, the bros took it over. It all became about karate pants.
Karate pants?
It's humorless and personified by in Superman versus Batman. Bruce Wayne's dad takes a swing at Joe Chill or whoever kills them in that movie. Where in the original movie he was protecting his wife. Everybody has to have their cock out. It's just so
I think
macho and humorless. And
that to me is
bullshit and snorry.
That's to me is how the Marvel movies feel. I feel like it's like real frat boy shit.
It's all frat boy shit.
Everybody's a real smart ass. But by the way, can I
Civil War, come on. That's a great movie. Great movie.
Because I've always wanted to see the greatest superhero showdown take place at LaGuardia Airport at 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
Why not?
There's just no mystique to that. Nobody gets hurt. Nobody dies. They just straight up stole from Batman in that movie. All of a sudden, Tony Stark has this passion for his dead parents to the point where he's not logical anymore. It's a bad fucking movie.
Totally, that's great.
Also, by the time Paul Rudd rolls out of that minivan, and you're like, can we squeeze anybody else onto the screen right now?
Yeah, you get that.
What?
Hey, look,
happening?
It's Mother Jugs and Speed.
You're like, it's like literally looking at
it's a Cannonball Run movie.
Yeah, you're watching Where's Waldo. You're like, what the fuck is going on
But
right
wait a
now?
minute. But wait a minute, though. But if we're going to compare this to the source material, which is comic books, that's what comic books do. Nobody dies in comic books. They bring them back. And so to me,
that's not true, though. The people will die and then come back years later or whatever.
Okay.
But it's like, let a guy get... The Winter Soldier doesn't still need to be alive at the end of Civil War. That's somebody you can kill and go, okay, we killed somebody. Coulson shouldn't have come back.
I do agree with
a
that.
few
I do
people.
agree with that. I think that show is terrible. And I think that's done more harm to the Marvel franchise than anything else. But I want to talk about, you were talking about the humor element, which is my problem with the latest Guardians of the Galaxy, which I really did enjoy.
But that's at least supposed to be funny, so I'm like, okay.
But not that funny.
Well,
and when I mean funny, I mean attempts at humor. It's a lot of jokes there are entire scenes that are there to support a gag that doesn't work.
They swung for every gag. It was like watching...
this is a common thing with movies like that, where they try to make it a comedy, but they don't want to put their balls on the cutting board and say it's a comedy. So to that end, they don't hire comedy people to do the comedy. And the comedy ends up shitty.
Yeah.
The best example would be one of the worst movies ever made, a movie that I will tell you, I am not exaggerating when I say it was worse than 9/11. Tim Burton's Dark Shadows.
Oh, well, I don't think we'd have.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree on that one.
Yeah, it's not a great movie. I was.
It was like there's all these things that
No, it's bad.
it's things that are supposed to be jokes, but no one took the time to make them a joke because it was just Tim Burton, Johnny Depp, and whatever poor screenwriter they had there fucking around on the set. It's like, no, comedies.
John August. By the way.
No, it wasn't John August. It wasn't
was
the
it?
script. No, it wasn't
I
the
thought
script.
it was John. I'm sorry.
No, he did write a script that it was the guy that did Abe Lincoln, Vampire Killer, that ended up writing that script.
And that's
John
a good
August-
movie. I like Abe
John
Lincoln.
August's script was not used in that movie. I read John's script. I like John's script. And John wrote what I think is Tim Burton's last great movie, which is the long form Frankenweenie, which I thought was fantastic, and he wrote that script.
Nice.
But I read the story. It's like, yeah, Tim Burton and Johnny Depp, two guys with their feet firmly on the ground. They know what people are thinking. They live in the real world. Just fucking around at a dinner and like, that'll be funny. And like, no, you want to make a comedy? Read about how they made Young Frankenstein. They wrote and they wrote and they wrote, and then they kicked the shit out of that script. Yeah. And anything that wasn't solid fell out. And comedy's really hard to do well. Yeah. And these people, they don't want to say they're making a comedy. So they just try to make a humory drama, and it ends up being neither. It ends up being not really dramatic and not really funny.
Well, also, how about a joke?
You're just going to own it.
Why would you do a joke that you had seen before numerous times? Like, anytime you ever do a joke where the vampire is in the mirror doing whatever.
That's
come on.
The redeeming quality for me of Dark Shadows, the movie, was that he actually did kill people. And I was like, all right, well, at least they committed somewhere.
Yeah,
I like the first 3 minutes of that movie.
I like the first minute and a half of that.
But it's not a good movie. And something as cool as Dark Shadows deserves
a good movie.
And
well, they made it. It's called House of Dark Shadows.
Well, yeah.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
That's a good
Have you ever
point.
seen that? You've seen that, right?
I own it. It is wrapped on my shelf in the backlog of 600 Blu-rays and DVDs I need to watch.
I think you'll like that one.
House of Dark Shadows is great.
Yeah.
I bought it because it's in a book of 100 greatest horror movies, and I disagree with a ton of the
There's
list.
a lot of House of Dark Shadows and Stand Against Evil.
Yes.
But I look forward to watching it. I just
There's a
crack
lot
the ceiling.
There's a lot of that in there. That's a great movie. And I'm 52 years old.
You look great.
Thank you.
I'll say.
You know why? Because I have grandchildren. House of Dark Shadows is a really small story.
Right.
Logan is a really small story. You don't need to pick up Asia and drop it on the Soviet Union and make a continent sandwich to end a movie.
All you need to do is make a really violent version of National Lampoon's Vacation, which is what Logan is.
Yeah,
it's true. We're on a zany field trip together. We're trying to get across country. This guy dies on the way. Yeah. We got a crazy grandma with us in the back.
But it's like
it could have been done with Hope and Crosby.
Dr. Strange. Dr. Strangelove tells the story of the thermonuclear war that destroys the planet, and it's 9 sets and 21 characters.
Yeah, it's all through people.
It's great.
And you don't need to show everything happen all the time.
Yeah. And speaking of
you don't need to have 5 acts in the movie. The movie doesn't have to end 6 times.
Speaking of Doctor Strangelove, we did an episode of Doctor Strange where we reviewed the movie Doctor Strange on my podcast, and I was beside myself. I mean, you would have thought I was ranting about some sort of social issue or something. I hated the movie so much, and I was disgusted by the jokes in that film. I was disgusted. When he goes into the sacred temple, whatever the fuck it's called, to meet the Ancient One, and the guy gives him the card, and it's got some word on it, and he goes, "What is this, my mantra?" And he goes, "It's our Wi-Fi code. We're not animal." I'm like, stop it. Stop it. Stop it, God damn it, stop it. And the fucking temple's next to like a hot dog stand.
But also
in the middle of this. It's ridiculous.
I think that you are giving that film short shrift in the sense that you have to get up pretty early in the morning to make Benedict Cumberbatch not interesting. And they managed to do that.
Yeah, it's great, yeah. It's a good point.
I like the movie. Look.
It stunk. The effects were amazing, visually great.
I don't think it's perfect, but I did like it, and I do think that all those movies fit in the same universe.
Well, Doctor Strange does the like crazy Steve Ditko 1973.
There was some great stuff.
We're
going to
juggle 3 planets. And
it looked great, but I mean, so do a lot of music videos from the 80s. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean.
But one thing I would agree across the board with your criticisms is with the humor. We got to dial back on the jokes.
Or just make it good. One of the things that I like about the new James Bond movies is that they don't try to be too funny. And I remember in one of the later terrible Pierce Brosnan movies, and they were all bad, but except the first one, he goes, "My name is Mr. Kill." Well, there's a name to die for. It's like,
oh, God.
Really? 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes. Call a comedy writer.
Right.
And say, I'm going to call you back in 5 minutes. Can you come up with a funny, "My name is Estes Muerto," and then answer it in Spanish? That's a clever version of that joke. That took me less than 5 minutes.
And by the way, these dumb shits, do you know how many comedians that are funny you could hand an ironclad contract to and say, "You're going to punch the script up for $500 and that's it," and they'd go, "Please, please, please let me do it. Give me no credit, just please let me do it." Still, no, they can't.
Yeah, they get.
But that's also my criticism when it comes to plot holes and logic devices is that, once again, take 5 minutes. Take 15 minutes, really, put everything you have into this and fix that little logic thing that could be fixed with one line of dialogue.
But here's
sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you don't notice those things.
No,
sometimes there's a lot of stuff going on.
Sure,
you're sitting in the editing room and you go, "Oh, yeah." That's a great cover. Like we've talked about this before. Here's a couple of them. Here's a couple great ones. Indiana Jones, completely irrelevant to the story of Raiders of the Lost Ark in terms of what we call in screenwriting a proactive protagonist.
Okay.
Indiana Jones has one job in the movie: prevent the Nazis from getting the Ark. He fails.
Right.
The Nazis open the Ark and the Ark defends itself.
Right.
Had he not been involved in this situation, the only thing that would have changed would be they would have probably just sent the Ark to Hitler and he would have opened it up and there wouldn't have been a World War II. Outside of that, Indiana Jones.
Yeah, he should have stayed home.
Nothing to do.
Right.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
He should have just stayed home. And whenever people ding me with plot, well, why doesn't he just try to kill him when he meets him? I don't know. Where's the Coast Guard in Jaws? When you're off, man, Martha's Vineyard, there's a lot of Coast Guard. The Woods Hole is a major. There's a lot of.
I don't understand it.
Star Wars, the original Star Wars.
Yeah. Right.
They must be trying to return the stolen plans to the princess. She may yet be of some use to us. Really? They have the plans to the Death Star. The princess is in jail on the Death Star. Let's get those plans back to her. Let's bring the stolen plans to the Death Star and give them to someone in jail on the Death Star.
It isn't
also in Star Wars. Oh my God, the comlink. I forgot. I turned it off. No, you didn't. You're a robot. You can't forget. Sorry. I'm all about buying back the toys I had as a child that my brother shot with his BB gun.
Well, there's got to be some matches to be made in that.
I figured when I get back from shooting, I might, just because I don't meet anybody. I don't, the circle of my life is driving my kids around and doing shows and then, being a parent. And none of those routes do I meet people my age that I should be hanging out with.
Right. No, same. I mean, obviously I'm always around comedians I already know.
Yeah. If your age ends with a 2 or probably a 3, it's probably a waste of time.
Right.
So I'm not meeting, I'm not meeting people.
No, I'm in the
What is it,
exact
Our
same
Time?
boat.
Is that the one for old people? Our Time? And we can do a commercial of she and I in a Winnebago and I get this new phone. I can call my grandchildren.
Winnebago.
Driving around. I can call my grandkids with this phone plan.
You totally should try
I have
it,
secure
though.
care. I'm on Stumble. I'll be on Stumble. I'll be on Shuffle. Hello. All
should
the
definitely
movies
try
yell
it.
at you now. Every movie has superheroes.
They're too long.
They are.
They are way too long. No, you should try it though. You should try it. It's not bad. Like, yeah, I did go on like one. It was perfectly nice.
Somebody said Bumble is easy because you don't have to. If you're a dude,
the women talk to you first.
Yeah, that'd be good for me.
Yeah, Bumble's good. Yeah, I've tried it.
I just get, what are you, an asshole? That's not a way to meet me. Piece of shit. Hey.
Cool.
That would be a great
cool opener.
Yeah, a place for performers to meet women who hate them as much as they do.
Right.
Is your opinion of me as low as mine? Let's meet.
No,
on your life. A
Yeah.
Lava Life. Have you seen the Lava Life is always advertised on MeTV. It's like a weird.
Is that for like professionals or something?
No, I think it's a phone. I think it's like a phone meetup instead of like a
party line.
Yeah, like
They
a
still
party
have
line. I
those?
think it's called a party line. Yeah, I guess it's a party line. Let's meet on Lava Life. It's a great way to meet guys from Russia who want your credit card information.
Yeah, no kidding. Who still uses party lines?
I don't know.
I almost want to call that now.
Same
just
people
to
who
be
buy,
like-
who still buys porn magazines.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess that's true unless they're like super niche collectory, like leg show or whatever.
But I'm assuming that's all online.
Right,
you
but-
see them at the newsstand.
That's probably the type of dude who buys that's probably the same, the guys who like still buy vinyl and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is me. Like, I'm not even clowning on that type. That's like me. I get it. I just want a typewriter.
That's a very type. Wait a minute. Typewriter, vinyl.
Leg show?
One of these things is not like the others.
It's like the same kind of guy who buys like
I guess
Henry
they're-
Mancini on vinyl and then is like, I'm
Hey,
gonna get
I've got a
new-
lot of Hank Mank right here.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Tell me you don't have any hard copies of Leg Show around here.
I don't have any
Really?
hard copies. No, I don't.
It would fit in so perfectly with
It
this
would,
decor.
but I also have 3 children in this house.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You don't want them stumbling.
Not a lot of-
They should find it in the woods like
not a lot
all
of,
normal
like
kids.
I did. Yeah. Not a lot of Ginch lying around.
Yeah, I guess that's true. This is a
the
weird...
newest issue of Squib, or just whatever the name is. I think that's a
was the one-
special effects term, Squib.
What was the
It's a
one
fake
that
bullet.
guy, his name was Al. He was like the grossest dude. Not Larry Flint. He was like a Larry Flint type guy, but his was even grosser.
Oh, no, yes. Well, Screw, Al Goldstein.
Screw, that's what it was. That was like the grossest porn mag.
It wasn't a mag, it was a newspaper.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
Al
like...
Goldstein. I knew somebody that knew Al Goldstein very, very well. Alex Bennett, the DJ in San Francisco, formerly of New York. I was very good friends with Al Goldstein.
I always thought Screw
and
was
Drew
like...
Friedman used to do covers for Screw, who's a friend of mine.
I always thought it was the gnarlier version
I
of...
think Drew Friedman did covers for Screw, or he did parody covers of Screw.
Right.
He did a really funny parody of Ernest Borgnine on the cover of Screw. That's
Because
in
when I was growing up,
a
I just
book.
thought it was like a super gnarlier version of... Like, how Hustler was the first to have like super close-ups of vag or whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought Screw
Well, the
was
original
like...
title, that's what the original title was. Cold Cuts.
Oh my God. Some of Hustler things look like pictures from the Surgery Channel.
No, really, yeah, there's not a lot of
Where I'm like,
yeah.
how is this even a turn on? And so I thought Screw was even gnarlier than that.
No, I don't think so. I've never. It's a newspaper. I think it was a sex newspaper. I
okay.
can't speak with any authority, but there was a lot of. I think Hustler kind of drew the line.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, unless you literally are
like,
inside a person.
If it's like a picture of a pap smear, then it's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
yeah.
I mean, you have to be like someone's colonoscopy.
Yeah.
Is the only way. You can
Which I'm sure Hustler probably ran.
I'm sure they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Waits had that joke. Saw a billboard for a movie, 7 X's. I can see 1 X, 2 X's, 7 X's. Girls without skin.
Yeah. Honestly, that is like how some hustlers look. I mean, it really was.
Yeah. It's,
Where I was even just like, who gets a boner from this? It just looks like
kids, 13-year-old boys.
Really,
They're
when it's
all-
just fully beef curtains.
Well, if they're
and
just
nothing
if
else.
you're just all when you're 13 or 14-year-old boy and you're just all testosterone and it's off the
Right.
charts and you're
But you don't even need
your
to have
time alone with that photo
Right.
is less than a minute.
Right. See, that's fascinating to me, I guess. Because just men are so much more visual, but just the fact
Yeah.
that it's not, it wouldn't even be attached in it. You're just looking
Yeah, no, it's
at a
it's
vagina.
it's complete.
It's so
it's,
clinical.
It's cold cuts.
Yeah.
It's cold cuts. It's like a nice deli platter. It's like it is.
Look, I never said you weren't romantic. Please tell me this is what you're going to say to your lady on your first Bumble date.
Yeah.
Let me just see those beautiful cold cuts.
Let me just see like an axe wound in a baboon's back. Just
No, but yours is beautiful.
like a run over bear cub. A minge like a run-over bear cub.
Ah, you stole that from a Hallmark card. Plagiarism.
Like a coyote got hit by a steamroller.
Ah! Damn.
Everybody's got some creepy.
I mean, the older I get, the more I'm starting to weirdly get, and this sounds so dumb. Anybody older than me is going, shut up about getting older, and I understand that. I'm only 38, but there's a part of me that's kind of like, in certain situations going, there's not maybe a lid for every pot.
Okay.
Truly.
I was at the Renaissance Fair with my kids the other day. Did I tell you this? I told you this.
I know, it was great. I want you to tell it again.
Walked to the Renaissance Fair with my kids. My oldest daughter is getting pretty funny. And she said, among other things, I think the best part about living in medieval times was the hair braiding stations. And then
Which is a classic.
Classic. And then as we were leaving, we passed this like sort of steampunk couple coming in, each one about 400 pounds.
Right.
Holding hands. And I saw they were holding hands. And I went, oh, there's a lid for every pot. And my daughter said, there's some weird-ass pots at this thing.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Which is the thing I truly hope I would have said.
She found our label maker the other day and was playing with it. And I was in the kitchen making dinner, and I made the mistake of stepping out of the kitchen for a minute. And when I came back, there was a label on the steak in the pan that said steak.
That's totally a thing I would have done as a kid.
Yeah.
I do think about that. Like if I'm out alone, especially I go to shows a lot, like I go to concerts a lot by myself and stuff like that. And I do think, you know what? Maybe I'm supposed to just be alone. Like maybe this is a thing
I feel that way.
Nobody would have wanted to do with me anyway. And that's kind of better than being alone and enjoying it's better than being with somebody who you know is just doing it as a favor to you and doesn't really like it or something. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you look at, say, China. Mm-hmm. Which has like a 5-to-1 surplus of men to women.
Really? Is it that much? 5-to-1?
Pretty big. Yeah, it's pretty big. And being an old single guy is going to be a widely accepted way of life. It's all cultural. It's just like whatever cultural thing you've been told to think. That's going to absolutely be an accepted part of Chinese culture, is like the lonely,
like a generation of.
Yeah, and there's a big difference between being alone and being lonely.
I agree. For me lately, they've become more blurred.
Uh-huh.
For sure. But then there are times that I'm like, I do appreciate my ability to be alone. And I'm sure you do. There are people who can't be.
Oh, yeah, I know.
There are people who will suffer in terrible relationships because of a fear of being alone. And
or stay in terrible relationships.
Yeah.
I think any comedian is well suited to being alone because we're alone all the time.
Yeah. Truly, yeah.
When you travel alone, you stay alone, you work alone.
Yes.
It comes pretty easily.
It does. It is a bit of a if a tree falls in the woods thing. Because I'll travel all the time alone and say I'll do a big show or I'll go to a really exotic place. And there are moments I'll turn to tell somebody, hey, isn't this amazing? And no one's there.
Right.
Where you're sort of like, I'm thankful that I experienced this, but if there's no one to share it with, did it happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I have a lot of female friends.
Right.
That I almost like I have those, they're just friends.
Right.
But we'll go places and look at, and it's like, oh, this is good. It's like having a woman in your life, just without all the other stuff.
Yeah, I for sure have that. I mean, I obviously have a ton of male friends too.
Right.
Just by nature of being a comedian.
Yeah. Okay. We're being invaded by my animals.
I feel like it needs to be described that your two dogs are like legit walking on the table.
Yeah. They're
just like, hey, dudes.
What's up? What's this? Is this a Zoom? Go on. Get out of here. Yeah.
Oh, don't try.
I'm terrified as to if my dogs became people, who they'd be. And it's two of the Hanson brothers from Slapshot.
Like
but it would be two of the Hanson brothers from Slapshot. Like, they would be the kind of kids like I couldn't take outside. They'd have to be homeschooled.
Right.
Two kind of kids that you'd see a strange old woman yelling at in the airport. Please go to your parents.
Oh, they're just curious. They have a zest for life.
A zest. But that's what I don't want to be, is some old guy whose Instagram is full of pictures of some fucking animal I rescued.
Right. Right.
Look what Mr. Puddles did again today. I know I'm not interested.
It is also amazing in Star Wars, nobody in the evil empire comes up with the idea of, we should just hold this chick for ransom, and then they'll just give us the plans back.
Yeah.
Nobody ever thinks of that. They're just like, oh, I don't know.
Also, on Wednesday, Princess Leia watches her entire planet destroyed, everyone she knows on that planet annihilated. The next day, Luke loses a guy he's known for a day, and Princess Leia's like, I'm so sorry, Luke. This must be so hard for you. Excuse me. You don't even know how sad I am right now.
Death Star weaknesses? I don't care about the fact that there was a defect that was put there in Rogue One. If there's a hole that you can shoot into that blows the whole place up, maybe put a door over that or...
Here's where I think that's cool. Here's where I think that's actually cool. I think that's a direct nod to Smaug in the Tolkien movies, because Smaug's thing was he had one missing scale, and if the archer could get the steel arrow into it, he would kill the dragon. I thought that was actually
dare I say that's
you could be correct, but a lot of those things, and I can tell you from being involved in a lot of this, my own versions of these things, it's just shit you come up with like, oh, I don't know, how do we fix it? I don't know.
Right.
It's 2 a.m. We need to come up with something. There was a great line in TV writing where it was really late and they're working on a pilot and pitching a joke to Steve Levitan, who created Modern Family, and we pitched a joke and Steve goes, I don't know, it's too sweaty, it's too hacky, and Cowan, it's 2:30, put it in. and there's a lot of we need there's always that you need to have a flaw in the matrix to get it. I would bet you my eye teeth that in the making of Star Wars, Darth Vader was never Luke's father.
No.
They're just writing The Empire Strikes Back as like, we need something. We need a way to, what if he was his dad instead of the guy who killed his dad? Oh, that's interesting. Let's do that. That'll shock him. That's a good idea.
Did you ever read, and I'm, again, as big a Star Wars fan as they come, did you ever read
Journal of the Wills?
No, they released the series of graphic novels that were based on.
No, I read Little Annie Fanny.
Yeah.
Ever read Cherry Pop-Tart?
And Milo Manera's Click series.
They released
and again, talk about you only need one.
Yeah.
They released a graphic novel that was basically an adaptation of George Lucas's original script for Star Wars. And
right.
It's vastly, vastly different. But
this is out?
It's out.
Yeah.
It's fully out.
I gotta
you could probably
check this out.
buy it as a volume now. It was released as single issues. But anyway, my point is I got 2 issues in, I put it down. I was like,
really?
What the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Dude, because you can't, first of all,
Is there a lot of stuff at Arnold's? It's just, it's basically American Graffiti.
You can't get the original shit out of your head. So then when like Han Solo has a lightsaber, you're like, what? Wait, what? That's Han's. And it's, to your point, very, very, very much a very different story. You know, it's not this family story.
This is George Lucas's pass, right? His original script?
This was what his original script was, you know, now by original script, who knows? He apparently had 87 drafts of this.
Well, it's also, it's historically proven that he wanted to make Flash Gordon.
Yes.
He tried to get the rights to Flash Gordon. They said no.
Right.
The whole point about episode 7 or whatever it was he thought it was funny to just start the story like you're in the middle of this thing. Had no idea
but that wasn't in the original release, right?
No, but he wanted it to be in the original, but it was not. But he liked the idea of, we'll just start. And it was only intended to be this one movie. It's going to be a sample of a giant old-time serial like Indiana Jones was, and we're just going to do one episode of it. It's going to be great. And everything that came after that was backwards engineering because they found a money machine. They found an ocean where money would come up on the shore and you could just put it in buckets.
And that's what 3 looks like.
And that's what, you know what? That's fine. That's all fine. Everybody does that. They've made the same James Bond movie 400 times because people like money. People have families. Their kids go to private school. You need to make money and there's no problem with it at all. But don't pretend.
No, this was always the plan. I originally wrote 747,000 scripts, and then I took the one right in the middle and made it.
No, you didn't. Yeah. You're a lying sack of shit.
That would mean you cared about it.
Yeah, and when he submitted a storyline for the J.J. Abrams movie, and they rejected it, and he goes,
"Oh, they're doing this thing. I just wanted to write a soap opera about a family."
No, you didn't. That's what you're saying now, you lying, chinless sack of goo.
I don't subscribe to any of this, George. Did you ever read the...
That's true. Everything I said is true.
Did you ever read the book of they had this contingency plan where if the first movie wasn't successful, they had a very low budget, one location, essentially sequel.
Really?
And they did turn it into a book. It is a book. It's called like Splinter
of the Mind's Eye.
Splinter of the Mind's Eye, yeah. And,
I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I read that book by Alan Dean Foster.
Yeah,
Alan Dean Foster.
And that was going to be, it was basically like, if this doesn't work, this will be like the basic bullshit sequel we make where Leia and Luke fight Darth Vader on a planet. Like it's a swamp planet. There's no Han Solo. There's no Chewbacca.
Vasquez rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Sheriff J.W. Culpepper from Live and Let Die is in it. What are you, some kind of intergalactic knight?
Yeah.
And they take off. General Lee.
Yeah.
Soundtrack by Vangelis.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Any James Bond movie with a safari suit, I'm in. Oh, dear. What are you, some kind of death machine? I love that stuff.
I just get weirder, defiant. Whenever you can tell, you'll be able to tell whenever I get rejected by a dude, because the next day I'm like, oh, I'm going to dress like Susie Suit. Like, I'm like, oh, you don't find me attractive? All right, I'm going to double down and like wear a garbage bag as a dress and neon green eyeliner. Like, you know what I mean? It's so juvenile. But I really do, when I feel that that's my armor. When I'm vulnerable and I like tell a dude I like him and he's like, no, thanks, let's just be friends. And I'm like, all right. And then the next day I'm like, what's up? And I look like Wendy O. Williams. And I'm like,
adamant.
Yeah, for sure. That's my weird defense mechanism.
Yeah, where I go is, I didn't do anything, you know?
Right.
Like, I always back off before I would have done or said anything rude. All right. No, forget it. Forget it. Yeah, you like anchovies? Let's just not do this. I'm going to leave. You cannot accuse me of anything untoward or wrong.
Right.
No. That's fine. I'm going to leave. I'm going to pay for this.
Right.
And I'm going to go.
And not leave a reason to be mad or anything.
And I just like, there's going to be no more blood on my hands.
Right.
No more, not literally, of course, but like, this is not going to be a shitty thing that I did. I would rather have people just go, no, he just one day, that was it. Other than, he's a fucking asshole.
Right. Well, you're not, though.
Oh, you don't know me.
No, but I know you well enough to know I've had like one messy breakup in my life because I've been lucky to date like reasonable dudes also who recognize, for the most part, my relationships came to ends where we're like, oh yeah, it was sort of mutual. I mean, I've been dumped, but it only took a few months to go, oh, that needed to happen.
Mm-hmm. God, that's where I envy you. I don't know if it's an Irish thing or if it's replaying something from childhood, but like I nurse and cultivate that hurt.
Really?
For
every time?
No, I'll pick one.
Right.
And just nurse it.
Right.
And
because you
revisit
like
it. I don't know.
Feeling?
I don't know. No. I don't know what it is about me, but I will somebody will break up with me and I will nurse that hurt like a Tamagotchi.
Right.
I don't know why. Kurt Cobain put it so aptly. The comfort of being sad. You know, I don't know why. I know it's not healthy and I know it's bullshit. And it has nothing to do with the person involved.
Right.
It's just this weird, sick need I have to cling to rejection.
Yeah. I'm not saying I've never done that for sure. Because I absolutely have. And everything you just said made perfect sense. And there is, I mean, I'm like the number one Morrissey fan.
Sure.
What's more comforting to me than feeling sad?
Right.
But yeah, I've definitely done what you just described.
Yeah.
For sure.
It feels oddly good.
Yeah, sometimes it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just important to remember it has nothing to do with the person.
Right.
Unless they were like a giant dick, but like I've not really encountered that ever. I was just like, no, it's just this thing that happened. And you go, yeah. And it's just like you get stuck in that. Sometimes it's really hard to move on. But see, the thing with me is once I've moved on, I've moved on.
Right.
And I think a lot of it is I'm afraid to let go to that point because I know that once I finally let go that person isn't going to mean as much to me anymore.
Right.
And I'm afraid to accept that. Even if you're upset with somebody because they broke up with you, if you stay upset about it, you're still tied to them. You're close to them.
Yes, exactly.
And when the opposite of love is
indifference.
Is indifference. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's what I'm afraid of. I was like, oh, then it'll just be indifferent and it'll just be a shrug.
Right.
And I think that's probably what it is. I'm afraid of the shrug.
Yeah. I've been afraid of it, but then in some instances, I've welcomed it.
It's great when it comes. Like, I was hung up over somebody for years. I'm not years ago.
Yeah.
Before I was married.
Yeah.
For years.
Yeah.
And then one day it was just like, oh, God, I haven't thought about it forever. You know?
Right. Totally. I remember that when I got the guy I dated after my marriage broke up with me. He it came out of the blue. Like I didn't see it coming at all. And I was devastated. And then probably like 6 months later, I was like, oh yeah, that should have happened a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was a relief in a way.
Yeah.
And not that he was like some awful monster. It just was like, yeah, we were crazy incompatible and it was not fun. I built it up in my head to be this thing that it wasn't. And with the distance, I was finally able to see that. So I was like, thank you for dumping me because I never would have done it.
Right. A therapist would say, tell me about your parents' relationship.
Well, my real dad bounced when
How
I was
old were you?
3.
Okay.
And
no real memory of it?
No, not at all.
Right.
And then my mom married my stepdad when I was like 5. So they've been married since I was 5.
All right.
Whether or not they're happy, it's not super chill. It's not something I look to be like, oh, I definitely want a relationship like that. It's not at all.
But we talked about this. You and I have the same issue with our parents. And I bet a lot of people have this, that our relationship with our parents has been genuinely affected by the fact that we can't talk about the president and politics.
Nope.
At all.
At all.
And I don't think it's been like this since Nixon.
Yeah.
Whereas no, it's not that I'm a Democrat and you're a Republican. It's that you're in a cult.
That you are saying verbatim what I said to my mom the last time I talked to her.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I know you're never not going to be a Republican, nor would I ever expect you to not be a Republican. But I was like, this is entirely different.
Yeah.
Like this guy, this is different.
Like if you like Mitt Romney, if you like Jeb Bush.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it.
Thank you.
Different ways to butter bread.
Yes,
sure.
That's
but
exactly what I said to her.
Sleep at night with either one of those people.
Yes.
Yeah.
100% what I said to her. And I was like, we can never talk about this man. We just can't. And I told her, I'm like, I feel like you're in a cult. I feel like you are unable to be objective in any way. And we just can't talk about this ever. And she kind of like goofed. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm a sensitive liberal. And I'm like, nope, it's just not ever going to happen for us. So I don't know if we just need to talk about the weather. I don't know, whatever it is, but we can never talk about Donald Trump.
And I think there's a lot of that. I think a lot of people that we know, and probably a lot of people across the country, your relationship with your family has been deeply affected by this because it is an extreme situation.
Totally.
We are out of the realm of normal.
I agree.
It's not normal. It is extreme.
Yes.
And it affects a lot of people. I don't think it's what the founding fathers had in mind, but it is certainly inescapable.
Right.
And it's like, I talked to my mom yesterday. I was like, how's everything outside of the elephant in the room?
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
I do the same thing where I'm like, well, how's gardening? How's the weather? How's whatever? And my parents will still figure out a way to go, we'd garden better if the Democrats wouldn't. And I'm like, oh my God.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
I
really have had to be like, all right, I'll talk to you guys later. I can't.
Yeah. Go fuck myself. What?
Yeah. I mean, that's essentially
Why
what
should
they're
I go
saying.
fuck myself?
Yep.
It's a big deal for a lot of people. I can't imagine and I know people that are married. I don't know if anybody's married. Yeah, I guess there are people that are married. One voted for Trump, one didn't.
But again, to me, it's not. I mean, I have friends that are Republicans.
No, it's not like Mitt Romney or Obama or McCain or Obama. It's an evil clown or a very self-serving politician.
And I was fascinated when my mom started talking about it after the election.
Outside the realm of normal crazy.
Yes, I never thought of my parents being susceptible to that kind of thing. Like, I just don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think of my parents are very smart people. And so when they were like, isn't this dude great? I'm like, hold on, what? Like, I don't understand genuinely how you don't see through this. Somebody tweeted this perfect thing because my parents, the way that they judge character, I've always been fascinated by this because they always got on my case if I said curse words or if I, was kind of crass in any way, because they would be like, that's a reflection on your character. And I never agreed with that because I always, and it's a thing that I'm learning more about as I get older because I'll go back to Atlanta. Like, I say the word fuck regularly. It means nothing to me as far as it being like scandalous.
Right.
Anything like that. And then I'll talk to old friends from high school or something and I'll say that and they'll be like, oh my God. And I'm like, oh, that's right. Like, this is considered crass to most people. And I try to dial it back when I'm in certain company because I want to respect people's feelings. Certainly. I don't want to be like Andrew Dice Clay in a church or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? But to my mom, those have always been indicators of like, you're a good person if you don't cuss. You're a good person if you do X, Y, and Z. And you're a bad person if you do X, Y, and Z, whether that be like have tattoos or say bad words or whatever. Truly. And so that's always been funny to me because a guy in a suit who doesn't curse to my mom is just inherently a good dude. And a person like me who's got a tattoo and says curse words is inherently a bad person. And it doesn't matter if one
you have the most benign tattoo on the planet.
But it doesn't matter if I feed homeless people or I rescue cats from trees or whatever. I'm a bad person because I did those things. And this guy in a suit who robs everybody blind and spits on homeless people is a good person because of this like fake aura of class.
Right.
And that is kind of the way my parents, somebody tweeted, I forget who it was, but it was the sort of thing where it was like, when this recent bill was passed, the healthcare thing, and it was like, fuck this bill. And then the response from conservatives was like, oh, I guess liberals can't have intelligent discourse.
Right.
The idea that us cussing about a bill that's going to literally kill human beings, we're the ones without class because we aren't taking the quote unquote high road. And that's kind of how my mom is. She'll say something about some terrible dude like Paul Ryan, who's just the scum of the earth. And when I'm like, that dude's a shithead, she's like, see, you don't have any class like he does. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Because I said the word shit. I don't have the class that the guy who doesn't care if 1 million people die has. It's always been that disconnect with my mom.
So I'm driving down Pico Boulevard. Not to brag. And there are 2 billboards on either side of the street. One is for the return of Twin Peaks. The other is for Alien. Now, we're recording this earlier in the summer because by the time this airs, I'm going to be in Atlanta shooting my little show. And some would argue everything that's coming out has been done before. Twin Peaks is coming back. Alien is coming back. What are the big movies coming out? Star Wars, Planet of the Apes. It's all the same thing over and over again. Is Hollywood out of ideas? My question is, was it always like this? And even if it wasn't, is it so wrong? I was very excited when the X-Files came back.
Right.
I didn't think it was mind-bogglingly awesome. I thought there were a couple of great ones.
Right.
The Darren Morgan one, as always, was terrific. The one with Kumail. But I was glad it came back. It was like having an old friend over.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Twin Peaks will be better. I've been hurt before.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Especially by that world.
Yeah.
But
Twin Peaks has smacked me around a couple times.
Twin Peaks has pimp slapped me into a pulpy oblivion on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
But I hope it's going to be good. We will all have seen it by the time this airs.
Yeah.
I feel like an old man. It's the same thing. The Beatles are loud. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah. Look, I feel like when W.C. Fields got acclaim for his role in David Copperfield, somebody was like, oh, big deal. They're doing David Copperfield again, except there's a movie this time. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's just... And here's the thing. Any of us could reduce anything to the surface level. Oh, it's just a bunch of remake. But if you really delve into entertainment, you could name 10 new things for every old thing.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and here's what I'm going to predict. The people now, my kids, when they're our age, the movies will be Alien, whatever it's called then, Alien Regurgitron, but you're in it. It would be like a first-person shooter game where, if you want, you can see the movie or you can be in the movie.
Right.
Yeah. I don't see how it stops.
I'll tell you the one thing that, and I don't know why this freaks me out, but it does freak me out when I think about it. And
we're all nude?
Yeah. It only came into my head when Star Wars came back, that it's not finite. I was like, my God, I now live in a world where I'm going to die and there could be 10 or 20 more Star Wars movies after I'm dead.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something comforting about knowing it was over when it was over and saying those 6 movies were movies for my childhood. They were meant for my generation. They're now classics, whatever. And as excited as I am about new movies, it is very strange to think like I'll be gone. We'll all be gone. Mm-hmm. And there'll be somebody being like, this guy's name is Humphrey Skywalker. But see, it's 1,000 years after the original trilogy, or whatever.
And they'll still be trying to blow up a big round thing.
Yeah. But where I go with that is that to me that's a thing of hope, because it makes me feel optimistic about that we won't blow ourselves up, that the world won't end, because there's something in the back of everyone's mind that like, sure, I could press the button, but then I'd miss the new Star Wars film. But you think Kim Jong-un? I think he wants to see the next Star Wars film.
Point. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I would hope so.
Fingers
crossed.
Never associate rational thought to an irrational mind. The argument to that is, isn't it great that the Beatles ended when the Beatles ended? Remember how awesome Free as a Bird was when it was released? Sometimes it's nice, like, yeah, that's done and it's beautiful. But you still have that. Like, I loved everything in Twin Peaks.
Sure.
Up until they caught the killer.
Right.
And it was
first season.
I'm not going to worry about a spoiler alert for a 45-year-old movie or 25-year-old thing.
I did like the
way...
It
was Leland Palmer did it. It was Leland Palmer. It was possessed by Bob, and Leland Palmer did it.
There's that new trailer that's all old footage of them just recapping the story. It's just highlights.
Oh, really? I got to see some of this stuff.
But then there's a shot of it of Ray Wise in an interrogation room with gray hair screaming, "These hands will kill again." And I'm like, that's not from the original series.
It might have been an outtake, because he did have gray hair at the end of the series.
He did?
Yeah.
Okay, then that's got to be what it is. 4 episodes.
His hair went white. His hair went white after. After a time.
4 episodes into season 2.
Ray, we're gonna dye your hair white.
But I did like the ultimate way that they did resolve it at the end. I like that as just a capper, an end to this story. And yeah, I don't know where they're going to take it now, but I mean, usually,
but it's just like, because Fire Walk with Me, it was so interesting because it was like Twin Peaks was this great, dark yet also funny. It was just brilliant. It was it was like, wow, this was made for me.
Yeah,
it's weird as shit. It's really funny. It's really smart. Its attitude seems to be, if you're not following this, fuck you.
Right.
And then, now they're going to make a movie. Yeah, what's the movie going to be? 2 hours of incest. Oh, gee.
Yeah. The most disturbing scenes in that movie to me are the ones where she's, I forget the name of that bar, but the bar where she goes with Jacques.
Yeah, Jacques.
And One-Eyed Jacks.
Yeah. And One-Eyed Jacks is the whorehouse, right?
Where he goes on the Great Went.
Yeah. And it's like all red light, and they're all drunk and having like unprotected orgy sex and making out with Jacques, and you're sitting there and you're going, she's going to get some kind of a disease. You forget she's about to be murdered. You're like, this is just, ugh. Tarantino said that after there's an interview with Tarantino where he goes, after I saw Fire Walk with Me at the Cannes Film Festival, I love David Lynch. He had disappeared so far up his own ass, I never wanted to see one of his movies ever again. Like, he was disgusted by the movie.
I think that's well observed. Yeah. Sometimes notes are good. Notes can be great.
Yeah.
Jar Jar Binks. Notes can be good. I showed Plan 9 from Outer Space to a friend of mine who'd never seen it before. And when it was over, she said, did he not have friends that could give him notes? That was a review of This Is 40, where at one point they show Paul Rudd's colonoscopy.
Okay.
And one critic said, it's fitting, as this is the longest journey Judd has taken up his own ass.
Wow, that is a great line.
Yeah.
Speaking of notes and having friends to tell you whether maybe you should do this, I was talking to George Takei once about Shatner's
in
albums.
a sauna.
In the sauna, as we do every Thursday.
Oh, my.
Matt, tell me about your screenplay. But we were talking about Shatner. I was saying, you know those albums.
I know.
that
Where
he
were you
did?
talking to George Takei?
We were having dinner after a convention that I hosted.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, and we
Was
were
this
at a Japanese
convention at your
restaurant.
house?
I have once again every Thursday. But so we're talking about Shatner's albums, like The Transformed Man.
This is hard because he's such a fan of Shatner.
He's such a
hard
fan
to get
of
him to be
Shatner.
objective.
I go, so, you know, these albums that he did, it's amazing that he didn't have anybody, like one of his friends, pull him aside and say, Bill, you can't do this. This is ridiculous. You look like a fool. And George Takei goes, Bill? Friend?
He's like the anti-Frankenstein.
Oh, that's great. That's
Yeah.
really funny.
So, yeah, notes are good.
My manager said a really interesting thing about like people that have this, you know, like the artist's voice must be heard. He goes, the Sistine Chapel was a gig.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He was hired. He got notes.
Yeah.
You know, he went in there and did it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fix that, would you?
Yeah, they didn't just go in and just go, hey, just do
Whatever you want to
your
do,
mu-
man.
Follow
Yeah.
your muse.
Yeah, the papacy was like, no, we have very specific desires. You know,
Well, yeah, it's like that. It's like that
it's
Seinfeld.
got to end with a giant spider.
It's like that Seinfeld episode where Jon Favreau's the birthday clown. Do you remember that one? And George keeps pestering about Bozo, and Jon Favreau goes, "Why you on my case, man? It's just a gig, man. You're hanging on to a clown from the '60s, man."
The only episode of Seinfeld I've seen is the classic one where Fragile Frankie Merman, Jerry's friend from childhood, sells him a van. I hear that's the only one that's really worth watching.
That's a good one, but the guy who plays him is forgettable. Who plays
So
him?
it just, whatever happened to that guy?
I love that one. The concept that you're a guy that runs into the woods when he gets upset is so fucking funny to me.
Here's a weird thing. On Seinfeld, I played a guy that when he got upset would dig a hole and hide in it. The first episode of The Simpsons that I wrote starts with Bart digging a hole in the backyard for no reason. The way kids will just dig a hole.
Sure.
Right.
My character in my own show, I play a gravedigger, and every time you see me, I'm digging a hole.
Really?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Totally unrelated. It was not intentional, but it is a bizarre theme. And there's a fan produced CD of mine called Digging a Hole. Totally unrelated, because I used to walk on stage and tell the audience I hope they all died of AIDS.
Okay.
And then they would be shy. I said, really, I hate you and I want you all to die of AIDS. And then I would go, I don't really feel that way, but I'm so confident in the material that I have that I wanted to dig a little bit of a hole here for myself, just to keep it interesting for me as I win you back. I have a joke coming up about the election that's so funny that just before I tell it, I saw the head off a blind child right here on the stage. And it was like somebody bootlegged it, and it's called Digging a Hole. It's just a weird,
cool.
apropos of nothing, a weird theme. And when I die, I will go down into a hole. Not really. I don't want to be buried.
You never know.
I want to be sneezed out of. I want to gag, take my dust and sneeze me into someone's face.
I want to be taken to a very poor country and fed to whoever needs it.
This is a tweet of mine that was stolen by, I believe, Beige Cardigan, or one of those.
That's
one
not
of
a
those,
person, is it?
It's a Twitter feed.
Oh, okay.
It's a Twitter or an No, it's an Instagram.
I thought we were beyond the days of funny comic
it's
names.
No, it's an Instagram. It's an Instagram thing, and they made a meme of it. But it's actually a joke of mine that was tweeted, and it was stolen. Which is, when I die, I want my remains scattered along a beach. That said, I don't want to be cremated.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
I think that's a good bit.
That's a good bit.
And I think you should steal it back
I am.
right now and do it again.
Yep.
Yeah, that's yours.
What you're saying is exactly what I'm up against, is that you can't argue. There's no way to argue with them.
Right.
There's no way to say, like, even when you say, like, I like to have this conversation with you. What they interpret that as, oh, now you're going to teach me how I'm wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah. And you're just like, okay. And the sad thing is, and I'm convinced of this, he could sell Alaska and Hawaii and half the country could be nuked by his own thumb, eating a peanut butter sandwich and hit the codes by accident. And people will love him. Like 38% of the population, he can shit down their throat.
Yes.
And they would just be upset if they weren't able to clap.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to, okay.
Yeah.
Agree to disagree.
That's exactly
There's
where
no
I am.
bottom to his behavior. It's only going to get worse.
Yes.
You know.
And watching somebody like my people that raised me still being like, he's a great dude. I'm just like, I can't wrap my mind around it.
No, I can't either.
Oh.
And do you ever say, like, did you think it was great when he referred to his genitals in a debate? Did you
All
think it
of
was
that.
the access to it great?
The tape, the tape of him saying he grabs, all of it has been explained away. And so all of it was either that's liberal media spin or that's just the way that's the way men talk. They fully went with it. That's the way men talk thing. They went with, well, he's not a polished politician, as if that's a good, like, he's not a polished liar like everybody else.
Right.
He's just keeping it real.
Liar.
But that's not a plus. That's
No, I agree. No, and you can't, and it's also like I get hung up on the grotesque double standard.
Yes.
Like, and if Obama did everything.
Oh, they would burn it to the ground.
Yeah,
they would be setting the White House on fire if Obama did any of these things.
Any of these things. Or Hillary Clinton. Can't even get near it.
I remember my parents would always be like, Obama's such a narcissist. He's the biggest narcissist. And when I talked to my mom, I go, so you don't think the guy who puts his name on every building in giant gold letters is a narcissist, though? And she's like, well, no, those are his businesses. He's a good businessman. And I'm like,
no, he's not.
There's words no longer mean anything.
Yeah, words you can't. You just have to let it go. You can't, you're never, ever, ever going to get any headway on that argument because there's just too much ingrained cognitive dissonance and they have so much invested in their belief that he is great that to deny that he is great would be an existential death. And they just can't go there.
Which is such a weird, our entire job is to criticize our leaders, no matter who they are.
Yeah. And it's true that we didn't criticize Obama enough.
Yeah. Yeah, but plenty of liberals did. I mean, that's what fascinates me is that he's just above. I don't understand not even being able to step back even the tiniest bit to go, okay, well, at least when he said this, it was dumb. Like, I've never heard my parents say one negative thing about him. At all.
About Trump?
No. Yeah.
I don't think he's going to have a successful presidency, and I don't necessarily think that he's going to finish his term. And how they will spin that is their world, and you can't affect it.
Right. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think he wants to quit. Like, I don't think he's enjoying it at all. And I do see him resigning, not out of any scandal. I could see him being like, this sucks. I don't want to do it anymore. And yes, they'll spin it into some way that makes him look like a hero.
Yeah.
That'll make it sound like he had to quit because he couldn't get what he wanted done because of the liberals. Like, they'll figure out some way to make it so he comes out smelling like a rose. But I agree. I mean, I hope he quits, but I do think he will.
I don't know. I don't know. I wish I didn't think he was going to win, so I don't trust anything I say anymore.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
It's all,
That is true.
He might get 7 terms. This weekend
he could become king.
He gave giant secrets to the Russians in the Oval Office that he wasn't supposed to give while barring the American press from the
right. And still no one's
you can't go there. You just can't. Yeah. So I don't know. What are your summer plans? What does April Richardson do this summer?
I'm going to do Hardwick's Festival. I'm going to go to England for 2 weeks.
Because I'm going to be at the Idiot Festival.
Yes.
If that's what it's called.
Yes. I'll be there too. The whole weekend I'm hosting all of the comedy shows, so you and I will be hanging out.
I will see you. We're doing a panel. I'd like to do a show.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. I'll be there the whole weekend, and that's at the end of June. I'm going 24th? To England. Yeah, it's like the 24th through 26th, I think.
Okay.
I'm going to England to kick it for 2 weeks. I'm going to try to do some shows while I'm there. That's the last week of May and the first week of June. And then I'm going to Atlanta, but I'm going to miss you. I'm going to Atlanta for my high school reunion, but it'll be after.
Do that. Now, where are you going in England?
I am going, specifically, I'm going to Hull.
Well, that's where everyone goes.
Because there's a show. Paul Heaton, formerly of the Beautiful South and the House Martins, is doing a big hometown show where he's going to sing songs from both of those bands. And the two opening acts are Billy Bragg and the Divine Comedy.
Okay.
So I'm freaking out. So I'm flying over specifically for that show, but I'm just going to kick it. Since I'm going there anyway, I'm like, well, I might as well stay. So I'm going to go to Manchester and London and just kind of train hop.
So now you go there, you don't have any, you have, when
just
you get on the
see
train.
Friends.
Yeah, it's like you know where you're going.
Yeah,
you're not
yeah,
just
yeah.
gonna get on a train to Manchester and get out and go, well, I'm in Manchester.
Well, I'm here. No, I'm
Any
going to
place
go
to
see
live?
friends. Yeah. I'm going to go visit the family I used to live with when I was there
Oh,
after
that's
high
cool.
school. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're the
Now,
best.
you're over in Manchester.
Yeah.
And you meet a dude.
Sure.
A Mancunian.
Yes.
A Mancunian.
Yes.
And it works out. You like each other.
Sure.
You come back here. Would you move to Manchester?
In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. So you have just willed it to be so.
But I have an old girlfriend that lives in England now. Married a British guy and lives in England.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I absolutely.
You lived there for years.
I would love to
way
live in
before I
England.
married you.
So any Manx out there listening,
Mancunians.
keep your eyes out. Keep your head up for a lady walking down the street dressed like Morrissey in 1992. I am right now. Denim jacket, jeans.
Look for a suede head era.
That's right.
People in Northern California can come see you at, is it pronounced the Idiot Festival? Is it the
ID10T?
ID10T, but it looks like Idiot.
It looks like Idiot. Well, I didn't know it's
ID10T.
a computer term for like tech support guys.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
I can't keep up.
Hardwick told me that. Yeah.
ID10T.
Yeah.
Well, I will be there.
Yes. Cool. Everyone should come and hang out with us then.
And that's in
Mountain View,
Mountain View,
California.
Mountain View, California, which is out by Silicon Valley. I believe it's in Silicon Valley.
I think so too.
Yeah. But no, it'll be fun.
Yeah. It'll be awesome.
I'm coming up from Atlanta with the cast of the show.
That's rad.
And we're going to do a little panel.
Cool.
I'll try to jump on a show someplace.
Yes, for sure. I'm the host. I'll let you do 5.
Yeah, I'll do tight 5. I have the time. I'll bring my keyboard.
Okay.
I'll do some parodies of some popular songs.
Okay.
April Richardson. You're going to find love. You're going to find love, and that's one of us.
Other podcasts reach for the sky. Dana Gould bound. We barely try.
This has been the Dana Gould Hour, brought to you by the Internet. Music by Andy Paley, with Jake Posner behind the board. Produced by Jeff Fox. Graphic design and web production by Spencer Hunt and Segan Friend. Sound editing and post-production by Jalinda Palmer and Joe Napolitano.
Hey, if you like the show, why don't you drop us a line at show@danagould.com. Tom Kenny speaking.
I'm a DJ, I'm a person, I'm a singer, I love to sing and DJ. Boom! Peace out. You want me? Peace out. Boom.